there's all kinds of scenes that I respond to in movies. I respond to music sequences. I respond to big comedy sequences. It was like they galvanized the entire theater. Everybody woke up. Everybody got connected, and I would go see a film that had a sequence like that. I would see it 2 or 3 times at the theaters just to see that sequence, and then just to have that experience with an audience.
Welcome to Making Tarantino, the podcast. I'm your host, Philip Duke. On this podcast, we go through a list of movies that Quentin Tarantino likes or recommends to see what they're all about, and if maybe they've influenced his work. There will be spoilers. Today, I'm joined once again by Cassandra Kokendorfer, a comedian and host of the podcast, Big Lee Marvin fan. Big Lee Marvin fan. I want to say that again. It's really good. That second episode, I think, was at the military history of him.
I think it's like the third episode.
That was
thanks, man.
so
I worked hard
good
on that one.
But hello, Cassandra or Cass.
Hi, what's up?
Yeah, and then you had the author on. That was really good. Where I had,
Dude,
yeah,
that was crazy. He
Yeah.
Facebook messaged me out of the blue and was like, "Hey, we found your podcast. I'd love to talk." And I was like,
wow, that's
hyperventilated
awesome.
a little.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was cool because all the other Lee Marvin biographers are dead, So
Yeah.
this guy is really the last known historian on it. So it was really cool to get to talk to the guy whose books I'm reading.
yeah. That's where like people that worked with him are either passing away or whatever, or it's like the only person. I mean, there's other people, but like Charles Bronson, you got Kurt Russell still alive, so you could talk to Kurt Russell about that.
Yeah.
But James Coburn, James Garner, like, everybody, Steve McQueen, like, even though he's in
they're
other
dropping
stuff,
like flies, these guys.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
and it
you
was cool to
got-
talk to Dwayne because
yeah, you
Dwayne
got
had
James.
all the info. This guy's talked to everybody, so I'm glad to have him on, and I'll have him back. So
that, and even stayed with the brother. Must have been so difficult where you want to dive in, but you also want to go, well, I know you want to sell books, so don't dive in too much. Like
Right.
that must have been very difficult. But
it is because I do worry that he will send me a cease and desist. He'll be like, "Hey,
yeah, he's
stop
like,
using my
okay,
books,
you've gone
man."
too far. Yeah, you're like, I'm using all of it. But that's what's interesting. I had a woman, I had mentioned, I guess it came up somewhere. I had mentioned A Place in the Sun on the podcast. And so somehow that came out on the internet. Like I was just talking about, here's a good movie that I bought or whatever, that I saw a long time ago that got me into old movies back in the day, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden this woman writes and says, hey, I represent George Stevens Jr. Would you like to I think he'd be a good guest on your show. And I said, oh shit. I'm thinking it's called Making Tarantino, but I can pivot. I'll make that work. And so I'm like, okay. So they go, he wants to promote his book. So I'm like, okay. So I go get his book, physical copy, and then I get an audiobook and I listen to the audiobook. And he's like the Forrest Gump of Hollywood and Washington, D.C. Like he's met Elizabeth Taylor when she was in Giant with his dad. He's like, we were both like so many months apart and she was really beautiful. And then later on, she invites him over, like, and the way the book was written was like a cock tease. Like, I'm like, it's like, I'm like, oh, he's going to get with Elizabeth Taylor. And then he doesn't. And then he meets her a third time. And I'm like, oh, and then he doesn't. But I was writing all this stuff down. Things like when he was little, he said his mom took him to swim in like at the YMCA or the Hollywood, whatever. And he said, I just jumped in. I didn't know how to swim, but I just jumped in the pool. And he goes, all of a sudden, this guy scoops me up from the pool and puts me up and kind of pats me on the butt or whatever. And he goes, it was Johnny Weissmuller. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like Hollywood, right? Back then.
Strange.
But then he had done all of his press kind of things and all the main, like Leonard Maltin and all these other people. So then I was like, hey, I'm ready. Like whenever he's ready, let me know. And never got a response. So I was like, at first I was like, do you do Zoom? Like I can do that. And she was like, yeah. It's like, okay. And then nothing. And I'm like, damn, I had all these cool notes to be like, what about that? But also not wanting to get away give away the book, but also people that who's on their podcast, they would ask him the same questions about Elizabeth Taylor, about,
Right.
Giant or Shane. And I was like, I want to ask him about like JFK or Robert Kennedy. Like he was on that train when Robert Kennedy got shot, and they were all on the train for like 3 days partying. Like he was on that train. So, but also he's got money. So he's hanging out on a yacht with Robert Kennedy. Like, okay, Junior, by the
Mm.
way.
Oh, okay.
Or no, Robert Kennedy Sr. Sorry. Robert Kennedy after he died. Yes. But he knew the kids. So
Hmm.
that's the other thing where you're like, eh. But anyway, but I'm sorry for that long story, but I was
No,
hoping
you're
to
good.
get him on. And that's that thing too. Sometimes I go, I should reach out to somebody who's been in some of these movies and be like, hey, do you want to, you want to be on? What was
Yeah.
weird with this movie was that Jim Brown and that girl that was in the pool, like they both died on
Yes.
the exact same day. It's like, holy shit, like
Yeah,
March
Marlene
18th.
Clark.
Yeah,
Not and
Marlene
not like
Clark.
the same day, like the same date. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
the same exact
yeah,
day.
yeah.
It's like
The
that's
18th.
spooky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the other actress who plays the love interest, oh my gosh, her name's escaping me.
The Stella Stevens.
Stella Stevens. She also died that same year. So you had like three
Yeah.
co-stars all from the same movie, all dying in the same year, which is kind of a bummer.
It's well, I'm happy about this movie before we just because there's boobs in it. Stella Stevens boobs, like, oh my God. Like you watch Cable Hogue, the Battle of Cable Hogue, and she gets out of the like hot tub and runs away, and you're like, wait, I think I saw boob. And as a guy at least, I'm like, hey, I think, and then and now this, I'm like, oh, hello. So yeah, that was nice. So rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I still call it Twitter. And if you want more
Me
talk
too.
like this, go to Phil on Cinema on Patreon and sign up there for the Patreon only podcast of all kinds of different things. Like I do a Shaping Scorsese, the podcast. It's kind of this premise, but Scorsese. Um, and then like my favorite movies, like I did Zora the Gay Blade on there, and then I'm doing physical media collecting. I did some of that with some friends, so I'm always going to dive back into that. And I can do favorite directors, I could do favorite action scenes. I could do, because it's Patreon, I could be like, let's talk about the theme song for this movie, and you could play the whole theme song because you're on your own little thing. So,
Oh yeah.
so you could play all John Williams stuff, all Ennio Morricone, and it'd be great. So yeah, it's only $5 a month, and you get 2 episodes every month. So and I scan press kits and stuff. So why wouldn't you sign up? I always feel like a whore doing that, but hey, come on, everybody, sign up. I got 5 people
Hey,
on.
horrors are cool. Come
That's
on.
right. That's right. Madonna does it really good. So the tagline, have you seen this movie before? I had never seen
I
this.
have.
I was
I
thinking
had
you,
seen it, but it had been a long like I saw it in high school when I first started getting into black exploitation movies after
oh, okay.
watching Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
So I didn't know much about it. So
Yeah.
rewatching it was super cool.
I wanted to show you this book so you can keep talking. I thought maybe you're on the Lee Marvin travels, and maybe that's why you were like,
Yeah.
you stopped and said, I'm going Jim Brown. I saw Dirty Dozen. I'm going to go on a Jim Brown thing, and went that way. And then was like, oh, I saw,
Mhm.
let me watch all Jane Fonda movies.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute.
No, no,
You can
it's
keep
crazy
talking.
to see
Keep
like
talking. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. It's cool to see Jim Brown in Slaughter after being in The Dirty Dozen because The Dirty Dozen is his first movie. It's his first movie after basically leaving the NFL. And then, in The Dirty Dozen, he's like this bulky outsider in the group because he's the only black member of the cast essentially. And
Yeah.
he sticks out like a sore thumb as this like guy in this platoon of dudes in London while they're filming. So he's not only an outcast like while on screen, off
Oh,
screen
very
as well.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
So to see him like in Slaughter, like kind of leveled up, like, what is it, 67 to 72. So a few years later, he's like
Yeah.
trim. He's got these great suits. He's got his hair grown out. I mean, it was definitely like, oh shit, this guy is a different dude than the guy who made the Dirty Dozen.
Yeah. Yeah. We did Black Gun on here, and it was like right away you're like, oh my God, his charisma, his everything. But
Yeah.
it must be football player, because Fred Williamson has the same thing where you're like, oh my God, this guy, the charisma is like good, the acting is
It's
good.
off the charts.
Jim Brown is
Yes.
even
Yeah, I
better.
think
But I got this book that Josiah Howard
oh
wrote,
hell yeah.
and it's really cool because, and then it's got Jim Kelly on the back, because it's got like movie posters and clips and interviews
Oh,
with like
sweet.
Jack Hill and all kinds of stuff, and it's just really cool. And then in the back, it got from alphabetical order of all blaxploitation movies ever made.
Okay. So I'm interested to see if The Klansman is in there from 1974
I was
because The
thinking,
Klansman is a movie with Lee Marvin, and I just recently saw that it was on a blaxploitation list, and that kind of shocked me because when I first watched The Klansman, it doesn't really read as a blaxploitation movie, but
I
I could see how it would be on the list.
I got in an argument with my aunt because I didn't know our family history. Um, but not an argument, but I'm at the Best Buy and I was looking at DVDs and I was like, I go, oh, look, they got this movie called The Klansman with Lee Marvin. Like, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't saying that because I like, yeah, it is. Because I
Oh,
like
sweet.
white supremacists. I was saying
Yeah.
it
Wow. There she
because
is.
I was like, oh, he's gonna get revenge. Like that'll be great. And
Right.
she was like, you know that your great grandmother, like they attacked her because she was an Indian dating a black man, and they wanted to like stop that. And it was like, holy shit. So I was like,
Oh, wow.
okay,
That's awesome.
well, I wasn't getting it because I was like, yay, way to go, KKK.
No, more reason to cheer
Um,
when they fuck up the Klan.
yeah, exactly. Welcome to scenic Atoka County, population 10,000, cross burnings,
Yeah.
rape, murder, arson. It's a great place to live if they let you. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Now I
Crazy
got to see that
tagline.
one. But yeah, this is a
It's
good
dope.
book.
It has
It's like,
OJ Simpson in it.
oh wow, oh that's fun.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a
Yeah.
scene where OJ Simpson or Lee Marvin's holding a gun to OJ's head. So
Oh wow,
there's
there we
that.
go.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, my buddy sent me a thing. Well, it's in there, but it's a picture of just OJ with a machine gun from some movie. And I showed my wife, I go, look, this is what the last thing that his wife saw. And my wife's like, I thought it was a knife. I go, it was, honey. It wasn't a gun. This is a picture from a movie. I'm just kidding. She's like, okay. Anyway,
Waka
bad taste.
waka.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you for that. Um, Tagline, it's not only his name, it's his business and sometimes his pleasure. Slaughter. So the original working title was Kill Julian Blake and Julian Blake. So it was one of those. 1972, the plot: Slaughter, a former Green Beret, avenges the killing of loved ones by the mob, and after being blackmailed by the feds, is forced to head to South America to finish the mobsters off. So this was where, at first, because I'm used to these kind of blaxploitation, I was thinking he was like a cop or a detective, and they even say
Yeah.
captain, but they mean captain from the Green Berets, and so I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. But yeah, Jim Brown, like I said, we did Black Gun was badass because he had this desk and he had a shotgun under the desk and he like hit a button and the shotgun drops out in his lap and he like kills people. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then has a fight with another guy that just recently died, Crispin Glover's dad, John Glover. John Glover? No. What's Crispin Glover's dad's name? Damn it, Glover. Anyway, he was in Diamonds Are Forever. Anyway, so he was in it, and him and Jim Brown fought, and it was pretty good fight. Starring Jim Brown as Slaughter. It was almost going to be Fred Williamson, so they
Oh, I could see that.
Fred Williamson's like company bought it or something. He bought it, and he was going to do it, and then him and Rory Calhoun were going to be in it. So I think Rory Calhoun would have played Harry. And then he went off to join some other kind of, not just a movie, but this other group that makes movies. So he just went off to that and did that. And then they got Jim Brown and Stella Stevens as Anne, Rip Torn as Dominic Hofo.
Yeah.
Rip Torn, I know he had problems there at the end, and I heard some story. Is something in the trivia that I never know, IMDb trivia, so you could just write in whatever
Right.
you want. But I believe that he's probably a dick, especially at that time. But he, in this movie, I was like, he reminds me, I don't know if you know Don Stroud, like in the TV, was always on TV. He was on Mike Hammer,
That
the
guy.
TV show for Mike Hammer.
Mm-mm.
He was in some episodes of shows. Anyway, Oh, he was on did you see Roseanne? The
Hmm.
the biker friend of theirs who came
Oh yeah, yeah.
to want to
Okay,
start the business and then left and
sure.
then came back and said, "Here's the money." That
Yeah, yeah,
guy.
yeah.
That was Don
Oh,
Stroud.
okay.
But anyway, he reminded me of him. Um, Cameron Mitchell as A.W. Price. So that's the main guy that was like, "Well, we're gonna arrest you. You
Yep.
killed these people." And then he's like, "But
Yeah.
wait a minute."
Yeah, he plays like the dirty Fed agent. He's also in The Klansman with Lee Marvin. He's
Oh,
a
cool.
son of a bitch in that movie, though.
Yeah, he's one that I was watching some old movie, but when you look at IMDb, it's an old picture of like him from the 50s in these movies, and you're like, okay, like Cameron Mitchell. Don Gordon as Harry, which I love him. He's so cool. And I always like, and I liked it, especially in this scene. I like when it's like, hey, we're gonna go do this thing. No, we can't. This is our rules. This is
Right,
they pay
yeah.
me. And he even says, like, that guy pays me. This is how I make the money from Price. Like, yeah. And then finally he's like, okay, let's
But
go.
I like you.
I
I
have to
like
go.
you.
Yeah, I like you. I have to go with you. Okay. So and then also him like running around there being like, he's out hanging out with women and stuff, and I'm climbing down here. What
Oh,
the
just
hell? And
that dude's constantly hitting on broads and striking out. It's
oh yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And then that actor's great. He's in a bunch of other great blaxploitation movies like The Mac, and he's
Mhm.
just always around. I love him when he pops up in a '70s movie. I always cheer.
Yeah. I was like, that guy looks familiar. And I know, and you know that you've seen him. And I should have wrote down other things he was in. But yeah, the Mac we haven't done here yet.
Yeah,
But
he's in
yeah,
Towering
Quentin says
Inferno
that's
too.
one of it. Oh yeah. Who is he in Towering Inferno?
Oh,
Is he the
I
main
can
guy
never
that's
remember.
building it? Or no?
No, he's
No,
like
no,
one
he's
of the
one of
other
the he's
guys.
one of the husbands. Yeah. That that movie. Okay, let's go Towering Inferno for a second. So recently I bought there's a DVD of Towering Inferno that MGM put out that has like a press kit type of thing in it. It's got
Mm,
little mini lobby cards, all this stuff. I got lucky because I bought it
that's
used
cool.
and I was gonna get the one that was double. I could get that and Volcano together. And I was like, I hated Volcano. And then I was like,
Mm.
no, I'll just get this one for $7. And I did. And I opened it up and I was like, oh my God, it's got all this cool stuff in it. But in there, that that elevator starts to fall. And you're thinking, okay, this is a 70s movie. Steve McQueen's gonna save them all. No, that woman fucking falls out. Spoiler alert for a 50-year-old movie. And you're like, holy shit, like she just died. Like she's dead. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like, oh, so cool.
That's one of my favorite tropes in a movie. If you have to get in a glass elevator,
Yeah.
you're toast. You're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I will not even step foot in one in real life. Like
that's
you're not gonna get me.
yeah. But that's what's interesting in this movie did where it was different things that they did. But newer movies now, even in the 80s, I was watching I wasn't watching, I was playing, but it was Chuck Norris Missing in Action 3.
Mm,
And so he's flying them all out of there in this airplane, and all of a sudden the gauge is reading like almost empty. And everybody's kind of like, oh my God. And I'm going, gee, I wonder what's going to happen. I'm not in fear for them. I know that they probably have to crash close to the border, and then they all have to walk to the border and secretly and then try to sneak across. It's that thing where you're like, and then they have this heartfelt moment of, oh my God, are we going to make it? I don't want to die. Okay, it's okay. And you're like, dude, like, but then there's movies that just push something on its head or just spin it, like the movie that I talked about, David Mamet did called Spartan. And
mm.
I talked about it before, but Val Kilmer's like, okay, we got to go save the president's daughter. Here's what we're gonna do. I got the plan. And then all of a sudden she escapes on her own. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, it kind of you feel bad because you're like, I wanted the mission. But now you're like, okay, that was different. Um, but
Love when a
anyway,
plan goes
yeah,
sideways.
exactly. Marlene Clark. So yeah, Don Gordon, but he was almost going to be Rory Calhoun. Marlene Clark is Kim. Robert Phillips is Frank, and Norman Alf or Alfie as Mario Felice. Now, did you know that this was his debut?
No,
He was never in any other
really?
movie before this, and he was never in a movie after this. He was like, I'm good.
What?
Yeah,
That's
and you're like,
crazy.
he's so fucking good. Like, I
Yeah, I
love it.
liked him a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
he made a lot of sense as like the mob boss guy.
Yeah, and it was cool where then that's the other thing. Like they're doing this on the side of like betraying him, being like, well, the boss doesn't know. That's okay. And then kill that guy.
Hmm.
But then later, even when he's like, yeah, I've been running everything behind your back. Like we've been doing this whole thing.
Oh
And
yeah, what
then,
does he say? He's
and
got
then
like the
he,
best line.
and then the boss looks at that guy and the guy puts a gun on Rip Torn's like on his stomach. And you're like, oh shit, like you don't know where it's going to go. This is a thing where you're like, okay, good, that's still his loyal guy. But no, the guy hands him the gun, hands Rip Torn the gun.
Yeah. That seems great because he's like playing handball and it's very like
Yeah, he just,
Italian mobster. He
yeah,
just looks rich. He's in his villa playing handball and he starts passing out orders.
yeah,
And then they're just kind of like, fuck your orders. No.
and that he's kind of relaxed, and there's the three guys up above, and so you're just like, okay, they're there to talk. This is a talk scene. Then all of a sudden, you're like, you see him even looking around of like, oh shit, I'm in a bad spot. Like I got the low ground. They're gonna do some shit, and sure enough, they do. And
Yes. And then he double, it's the double cross because he's already
yeah,
double.
yeah,
And then he says,
yeah.
I run this operation and you're too fucking stupid to figure it out. Capiche? Like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
I'm so used to seeing Rip Torn as like a guy from like the mission, like Men in Black. Like he's
yeah,
just like an old cranky man to me. So to see him
yeah. Or
young
yeah, can you
is
throw a
so
wrench?
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It's the
Yeah,
dodgeball,
from
and yeah,
Dodgeball.
yeah.
Yes, I kind of
So
always think of him like
I
that. It's like Zed, you're Zed from Men in Black.
I was the same thing. I was like, he's really cool. Like I want to see more old movies, like that
I
with him
was
in it playing a bad guy. Like
Yeah, I
so
just recently watched one because I for the Lee Marvin podcast, I went back and tried to watch some old war movies about like his service in Saipan
mm,
in the on the Marianas and like that whole South Pacific theater of war. And I found this movie called Beach Red from 1967, and
oh,
Rip
I've heard
Torn
of
was
it.
in that as like a young Marine.
Oh wow.
So it was kind of cool. It's like an old ensemble war flick. And then he's also in that David Bowie movie, The Man Who Fell from Earth.
Oh
So he's got
wow.
like, and then the Coppola movie with the bellhops. Can't remember what it's called, but he's in a
Um
bunch of these old
yeah.
quirky movies where you're like, oh shit, he's kind of like Crispin
Y-
Glover, where you're like,
Yeah,
you look
yeah.
weird and
Just shows
strange.
up. Yeah. And then became that parody of whatever. Yeah, was in Larry Sanders and then was like, I'm gonna be this guy.
Yeah, it's kind of like what happened with
Um
Ernest Borgnine. He was like serious, and then he's like, I got to be an old comedy grandpa at the
yeah,
end.
yeah. We did yeah, a friend of mine who did the we did Devil's
Oh yeah, yeah, I know the one
what's
you're
that?
talking about.
We did that movie, John Travolta, um, in like a small part. But we did that movie, and I told my buddy who was on, I said, "Have you ever seen like, Ernest Borgnine driving around in a bus like toward the end of his life?" He's like, "No, I haven't." I go, "Oh my God, you got to see it. It's so great."
The best documentaries ever. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, so good. But written by Mark Hanna and Don Williams, wrote the script. Not my I'm related to Don Williams, the singer that sings
Oh, okay.
this isn't that Don Williams. But the singer that say, I believe in Superman and Robin Hood are still alive in Hollywood and East is
Oh.
East and West is West. Anyway, it's country. You're like, I don't know country. Um, but he was in I'll Talk Movies, Smoking a Bandit 2. They go to see him when the elephant's getting better and they're in the
Okay.
bar and he's singing to them. And I was like,
Ah.
and I was always like, hey, I'm related to that guy. My grandpa, who was actually my step grandpa, but he was around since I was born, so he was my grandpa. His
Sure.
brother was married to Don Williams' mother, so
Oh.
I was like, oh, that's cool. But anyway,
No relation.
they wrote the script, but then there was a lawsuit where some other guy said that he had given that script to he'd given another script that was called what was it called? It was
It's like Slaughter
Monkey at
Money
Monkey.
something. I
Yeah,
can't. Yeah, it's got
yeah.
a strange name where it's
And
like kid that would have never made it.
yeah, and so he was like, "Yeah, that's my idea." And then the judge looks at it and throws it out and says, "No, none of
Yeah.
these are the exact same. Like you're wrong." It's kind of like that guy that was like, "Coming to America was my idea." And they're like, "No." Directed by, now this is interesting. So before I started this making Tarantino thing, it's directed by Jack Starrett. I did not know this guy that directed these movies. He directed I have it in my bedroom, the Race with the Devil. He
Yeah,
direct he,
Cleopatra Jones.
he directed was the one that we did on here. They're like Hell's Angels guys. The guy from Kill Bill 2 was in it.
Oh, the wild ones.
No,
Wild,
it's
no.
anyway.
I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
All I can think of is the foreign poster that I have in my phone. I have all those in my phone. But anyway, so I'm like, who is this guy? Let me look him up when we did that original uh biker movie on here. And I was like, holy shit, do you know who Jack Starrett is?
I
Do
mean, I've
you
only known him from like Cleopatra Jones.
do you know the guy who was in First Blood who was a dick to not Brian Dennehy, but that other guy who was in the helicopter he threw the rock at and the guy fell out of the helicopter?
Hmm.
The guy that was a dick that was spraying him with water in First Blood.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he's for a long time I was like, I hate that fucking guy because he fucked with Rambo. I don't like that guy. And then I realized, oh shit, he was a director
Mm.
before. Like I never knew that. It was amazing. But it was almost a guy named Richard Lang, which you must have read AFI catalog as well. And that's a good site. Everybody go check it out for American made films. You can't go look up like Chinese or Japanese films, but it's all talking to that George Stevens to tie it in. George Stevens Jr. They got with him and said, we want you to make like a thing for the arts to like celebrate the arts in Washington, D.C. Because Edward R. Murrow was friends with him and brought him from like right after they did Shane. Then he's like, Dad, I'm going to go do my own thing. And he went to Washington, D.C., worked with Edward R. Murrow, made like a
Mm.
documentary about JFK, made one about, I think about her too, um, Jacqueline, and then started AFI. And then Lyndon Johnson comes out and goes, I've created AFI. And George Stevens like, motherfucker, you did not, I did. So in the book, it's like, no, I did. But then was running all those AFI things of like for John Ford and for, all these people
Hmm.
until like when he finally retired in like the early 2000s or mid 2000s. And then that's when it changed. Remember how it changed? Now it's like the Kennedy Center honor type thing. And they had the stage that Conan O'Brien did. And, you know,
Mm.
the other guy. Why can I not
Yeah.
think of the best thing? I just shared it with my dad, the blind KKK guy. Um, I always Dave Chappelle. I always want to say something with a C because his thing, his
Yeah.
his logo is a C. And then I think Charlie, and then I think Charlie Murphy from his show. And anyway, um, but so he created that. So anyway, AFI catalog is a great place to go. But now let's hear listener opinions.
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Well, you gotta have an opinion.
So Scheme Richards on Instagram. So he's a DJ and he does like puts out like blaxploitation stuff or like just travels all over Japan, does all kinds of music, but he'll sell like cassette tapes of like him DJing something.
Hmm.
He wrote, quote, great flick, fun to watch and never gets old, end quote. Josiah Howard, who made this book, on Instagram wrote, it's fantastic. It was the number one film in America for a week, one of very few blaxploitation films to reach that very point, to reach the very top. So
Hmm.
popular with audiences that it was followed by a sequel, Slaughter's Big Ripoff. Brown is a natural in front of the camera, end quote. Yeah, he's so good. And and he was saying, I think I read, you might have read too, like this is his favorite movie and Mars Attacks and I
And the
think
Dirty
Dirty
Dozen.
Dozen. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh, I
So
have a
that's
I have a theory. And then
mhm.
this movie is crazy because it was higher grossing. Like the budget was about like 3/4 million. So it was like
Yeah.
$850,000 and then it made like 10 million on the
Yeah.
return.
Yeah. It's
So I can't imagine what it was like to be in a movie house, especially like in a black movie house in a black neighborhood, watching this movie. And then, we'll talk about it when we get there. But the ending is this fucking great climactic, like
yeah.
Tarantino-esque stand up and cheer from your seat
Yeah.
moment. Man,
Yeah.
I can't
It's
imagine how much that would have felt. That would have been great. Oh,
yeah, it's almost a little. I was thinking too, just I guess because of flipped over car. It's like Mad Max too. At the end of Mad Max, when he's like, here's a
yeah.
hacksaw to take you 10 minutes to cut through the chain, but 8 to cut through your ankle. Like here you go, you got this much time.
It's
Um,
pretty similar.
but Caesar Mansala on my personal Facebook page wrote, quote, Professor Caesar from the Rad Revival House Big Jim Brown at his most badass here is Slaughter, end quote. And you on Video Archives podcast fans page on
Me.
Facebook wrote, so excited for this, which I was too. I had never seen this movie. And I like blaxploitation. It's funny with blaxploitation because I'm that way with spaghetti westerns. I have not. We did one on here that was a little kind of comedy, but I don't like the Bud Spencer stuff. I'm not ready for. I think I'm ready for now, but before when I would try to watch it, it was too funny. Cotton Comes to Harlem. I remember watching that on Criterion Channel, and I'm like, oh, this is like a comedy. Like the guy,
Yeah.
flies way up in the air, and I'm like, so you got to be in the mood for it. But everything else usually that I watch, but also these not as bad as film noir because they're always different, but film noir, you can be like, I don't think I've seen this. And then you go, oh,
Yeah.
wait, 20 minutes in, you're like, oh, I did see this.
And sometimes even if you haven't seen that one, they're using the exact same formula where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I have seen this, even though I haven't seen this.
Yeah. It's a detective looking for something. Yeah. But
The
yeah,
dame's gonna
this-
be bad, it's
Yeah.
very formulaic.
this book, just because everybody should get it, Josiah Howard, Blaxploitation Cinema, the essential reference guide. So it's really cool. It's got like, Thalamus Masulala, who was in Bucktown with Fred Williamson, and I was like, that guy's badass. Like, he just looked awesome. But anyway, there's interviews
get
in
that
here,
book.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah, Jonathan Kaplan. There's my Pam Grier Sheba Baby. Oh,
I
look at
just
this.
watched
Oh my
Sheba
God.
Baby the other day. It's still great.
I like Friday Foster, and I haven't seen Sheba Baby for a while.
Love
But look at
Friday
this Black Lolita in 3D.
Oh, I love that. Okay,
That's
I would
cool.
fight someone for that poster.
I know, right? It's so awesome.
I don't have
my
it in this room, but in my bedroom, I have a big Australian sized day bill like this of Scream Blackula Scream, the sequel with Pam Grier. So
Oh,
good.
I want to let you know about something that my buddy told me, and I said, "Oh, I got to tell Cassandra." That is really cool. Why did you buy that? That just touched you out of all the blaxploitation that you watch, or because of Pam Grier, or because of
It's
Thalamus
Pam-
Masulala is the
Yeah.
yeah.
No, mostly Pam Grier, just because I like love her. I'm on a mission also to watch all of her movies. I'm like halfway
Yeah.
through. Like I love Friday Foster too. It's just like
Yeah.
ugh, it's so
Yeah.
good. A lot of her like the 70s shit is like amazing. Like
Yeah.
Slaughter walked so that Coffee and Foxy Brown could fly. Like those movies would not exist without this movie.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. So that's why it was just an accessible poster, and I love these Australian size posters because they're skinny and they fit in these smaller frames, so I could put more posters on my wall.
Yeah.
but shit,
That's
expensive.
that's what I need to get. So my buddy Eric, he went to, they have LA, it's like movies, books, and posters, whatever.
Mhm.
And he got me a Zora the Gay Blade, like an original poster. So I have it up on the wall. And then he was over there and he's like, I was trying to figure out what to get. And he said, a guy walks up with the Killers poster,
Yeah.
the remake that you have. And the guy was like, I want to get this. And it was a 4-quadrant poster. The guy was like, I want to get this. I haven't seen the movie, but I want to get this poster. And the guy running the play was like, so let me get this right. Do you just buy posters for movies that you've never seen? And the guy's like, well, and he kept trying to haggle with the guy. And finally, my buddy
Weird.
goes, if he wouldn't have bought it, I was going to buy it. Cause this guy was trying to haggle. And finally the guy was like, fine, you can have it. I was like, oh my God, how weird to never, like, he needs to go and see that movie right away. Like, oh
Yeah, I hope it makes him want to see the movie.
yeah, I would
But
hope
in
so.
his
Yeah.
defense, some posters just look super cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
collecting some because when I'm trying to open an office space for my small business, but when I do, I'm gonna make like a movie poster wall. So I've been
Yeah.
trying to collect a bunch of like cheaper 70s and 80s posters in like bulk lots, and you'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
surprised what weird dog shit posters
Yeah.
you get from like old movie stores and stuff.
Yeah. I used to have a Fargo poster that we had when I worked at the video store, but it was like promoting Fargo, but it wasn't your normal Fargo poster. It had the car flipped over on the bottom
Okay.
of the poster, and then it had the person laying outside of the car. And it was really cool. But I finally got rid of it because it had holes all in it because I kept repinning it. And usually now I put them. And when we're done, I'll show you. I have a Once Upon a Time in the West. I have ET, and I have a Japanese Thing poster. So
Oh, that's cool.
from
Japanese posters
from
are
80
super cool.
from 82. It's a reprint, but hey, it's all right.
And I looked on eBay to find posters and soundtracks for Slaughter. Impossible. You
Yeah,
can't.
they were on Wikipedia. It was saying like even though Billy Preston, he's like the fifth Beatle.
Mhm.
They said there's a really cool documentary on Disney Plus where it's when George left. George was like, I'm fucking done. And I can understand why. George is like,
Yeah.
I did this song. It's like a ballet kind of. I was watching this movie and they go, and he's playing it, and Paul McCartney's even tapping his foot. And then it's like, no. And
Yeah,
you're
they're
like,
so mean to him.
motherfucker, can it only be
Yeah.
like you two? And that's why that Ringo is just like, I'll fucking play whatever you want. Like, I'll just keep my mouth shut and I'll do whatever. But while he's gone, they get Billy Preston to play on Get Back.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh my God, that's amazing. They go, you're one of the Beatles now. And he's like, oh my God, really?
It's the best.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, now
Yeah,
we're
his
ready.
soundtrack for this movie is fucking great. It's
Oh yeah,
like
yeah, that's what I was
he
getting
just
at.
does like one title song. It's so good. And then the
Yeah.
soundtrack is done by this guy named Lucci the Jesus. I'm hoping I pronounced that right.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if not, I'm just gonna keep saying it because it's fun to say it that way.
Yeah, it's
Lucci
awesome.
the Jesus.
What was cool about that was, of course, like everyone, if you've seen Inglourious Bastards, it's funny because damn it, I almost had his name. The guy that plays the German that then joins them, the Nazi, the guy that turned on all the Nazis, and they break him out of the cell. They go, do you want to kill Nazis? He goes, yeah. And the story was originally he was like, I made a pact with myself when I came into movies that I would never want to play a Nazi because they suck and I don't want to be a Nazi. Till Schweiger. And so they were like, so he was like, but look, you're going to be a Nazi, but you're going to kill Nazis. You're a German officer, but you kill Nazis. And he's like, oh, okay. So when they introduce him standing up there, when they're getting ready to bash that guy's head in, it goes dun dun, and it even does a like the machine gun hits, and it says Hugo Stiglitz, which is a Mexican director. And it's just really cool. And I remember going, that's a fucking badass song. And then you go buy the soundtrack and you're like, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just but then recently he was in a Guy Ritchie movie where he played a Nazi officer again, but he gets killed. But anyway, that same guy. So yeah, so now we're into discussing it. And I don't know where you want to start. I mean, it starts with, so that's the thing. I thought it's kind of confusing at first because the explosion, this guy and girl get in the car. We don't have to walk exactly through it, but they get in the car blows up. You're like, oh shit. Then it cuts.
It opens with a bang.
Then it cuts to the hospital. Exactly. Cuts to the hospital. And now there's this old couple there. And I'm like, oh, maybe this was his friend or his uncle. And these are but it's reversed. Those were his parents. And maybe that's his aunt and uncle that's there. And that they're calling him captain. And I'm like, oh, they're just from his Green Beret days or whatever. And it is funny where, like, we were talking about Friday Foster. What I love about Friday Foster, of course, she gets naked, but it's that fight of her getting out of the shower and Carl Weathers trying to go to kill her. And it's just that thing of like them fighting and then her running away and like going to those other people who are like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's a good action sequence.
And that's how this, all of a sudden he's just like, well, I need my, I'm going to go get revenge. Don't worry. You don't worry. And they're like, you sure? And yeah, I'm sure. And he goes off and now that's what I was saying. So the girl who's like, do you have anything to say? Like they're in the hospital. He's like, bitch, get out of my way. Like I'm done. And then she shows up later at his, and it reminded me of the fucking Pretorius, he shot through the door because he says his girlfriend scared him. The guy with no legs.
Oh, Oscar Pretorius. Yes.
In Africa. So all of a sudden he just hears a noise and just starts shooting through the door. And I'm like, oh my God. And then she kind of comes out and it's done kind of cool because you just see a shadow And then the shadow starts moving and it's her and she's got no clothes on. She's like, I came to talk to you. And you're like, well, why are you naked? But
Yes.
he doesn't say, why are you naked? Any of that. And then
No, he says, "Bitch, I could have killed you, you dumb bitch," which is fucking
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah. And he keeps calling her dumb bitch, or he just keeps like
Yeah,
he's not having
just
any of
him.
it. Yeah.
People are so mean to this woman in the whole movie. All
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
trying to do is work for this price guy and solve this thing and get this all done. And everyone, even her partner, is so mean to her.
Very true. At one point I thought, well, maybe her and Harry will hook up. Like maybe
Yeah.
he's shot down by all these other girls. Maybe, and no, they just got a
No, he
professional
was mean to. Yeah, I got the
relationship.
vibe that he had
Yeah.
already tried it with her, and she said no, and he was already like, "Well, fuck you."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that sequence where he like goes into I can't remember if it's an apartment or if it's a hotel. I think it's a hotel. He like
Mhm.
checks into the hotel,
Oh,
and the
yeah,
whole it has this like cool vibe for a blaxploitation movie. First off, because it's shot in Mexico, so it's not
Yeah.
like your typical like urban setup or like an inner city
Yeah,
where
yeah,
like
yeah.
a white director is trying to tell you what the black inner city looks like. It has this weird vibe where it's kind of almost like an Italian movie in the
Very
70s
true.
where you're
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure what the vibe is in this, it's very obvious that Jim Brown fucking sticks out like a sore thumb,
Yeah.
even in Mexico, that
But
everywhere he walks, people see him.
But and those things when you watch a Giallo or whatever, where you're like, oh, where is this building? Like the building, like
Yes.
I'm watching them when he gets out of the car, but you're just watching that fucking thing outside, that little water that's like
Yeah, that was
circulating on its
I
own.
was transfixed. Yeah, it's like this
And
undulating pool.
yeah, and I'm like, oh my God. And then when
Yeah,
that one person falls in later, they just disappear. Like they're
just
just not there.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene got me because like when he walks through, the first year struck because he looks so good. He's wearing this like beautiful suit, and I know in a lot of the comments, people are like equating this movie to say that it's very much like James Bond, and he's kind of like James
Mhm.
Bond-esque. I don't get those vibes at all. This movie reminds me of John Borman's Point Blank, starring Lee
Mhm.
Marvin from 1967.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm a big Lee Marvin fan. I'm saying it because there's a couple different reasons, right? So, like, a lot of the color in the movie is very stylized. So, like,
Yeah.
you walk into that apartment or that hotel room, it's all blue on the wall.
Oh,
He,
yeah.
he stands
Oh.
out compared to and Point Blank does something similar with the color where John Borman is making it very color and
Even
stylized. So this kind of has that vibe.
those sheets when he busts in to kill the guy and Angie Dickinson runs away, like aren't those like orange and then the background's like all like it's just really
And there's
cool.
a scene where like they're out, Angie Dickinson and Lee Marvin are on the pier and
Mhm.
they're looking up through like a telescope out at the water. He's wearing a yellow shirt, she's wearing a yellow dress, and John Borman painted the telescope in San Francisco to be that same color yellow, so it kind of all had that same
Oh,
vibe.
wow. Yeah.
And then it moves. There's different colors through the movie as it moves. Kind of like this same thing with Slaughter. And then there's another part where in that scene, he bursts into the hotel room. He doesn't know what's going on. He hears someone in the bathroom. And then without looking, he just shoots whole clip through the door. Pow, 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 pow.
Yeah.
Very much like Lee Marvin in Point Blank, where he
Yeah.
bursts into the girl's room and just shoots her bed till he runs out and just keeps shooting even when his clip's empty.
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
Point Blank, subtle differences, and then Jim Brown really gets to sing with his like quippy lines of being like, "Bitch, I almost shot you." Like, what are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing?
What was cool about that too, I'm glad that you brought up that blue wall. So I'm watching
Yeah.
it. Some of these old movies, you're just like, oh my God, like you love when they go shopping, like don't go in the house. He goes to get a suit and you're like, oh my God, look at all these clothes and look at,
Yeah.
And with that, my wife just recently, we have we're going to do an accent wall. And in the bathroom, in our one little, half a bathroom, when you come in the front door, we got this special like wallpaper that's like a bluish, like kind of felty kind of, and
Oh,
put
cool.
that up and it looks cool. So it's not just a certain color, it just looks cool. And now she found this now maybe that one's not felty. Now she found a felty kind of blue that she wants to put on. And so we're doing it on this whole one wall in the living room. And she's like, that's going to cost like $900. And I go, yeah, but it's going to look so fucking cool. And I was going to wake her up and be like, honey, look at this. This is fabric on that wall. Like
Yeah,
the
fashion
light is
inspo.
shining on it. Oh, so cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
there was a couple scenes like that where like they really stylized it to feel like a late 60s movie or kind of like
yeah,
that vibe. Like it's kind of carrying over. Slaughter came out in 72, shot in 71. So it's kind of in
yeah,
that weird in between time where like the
yeah,
70s haven't figured themselves out yet. Like Foxy Brown comes out in 74 where like they're way
yeah,
more solidified as to like what the style is and stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's cool to see Jim Brown like developing the style, creating it
yeah. And
and
then
like
I think they even said, didn't he have like a whole union? Like he created a whole union for, for blacks and everything that he had for, I don't know how long, but for a while. But um, yeah, it's the look of it. What did take me out was the fisheye lenses. Sometimes I was like, do
oh,
you
uh-huh.
need, I think I might have rated it higher if it didn't have the fisheye or the real wide angle lenses, but it
I
was
kind of liked it. There was a couple
cool.
times where
Yeah.
that lended itself really well to the fight scenes. It would just
Yeah.
kind of zoom out and
Yeah.
then back in real quick.
Yeah.
It's
That
very
guy like
strange.
flips over and yeah, it did. Yeah. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, it
Maybe
felt
I'll,
like very like European style filmmaking, like very kind of French, where it's like quick cuts and like these strange lenses or strange angles. And then
yeah.
it's low budget, so there's a lot of stuff where like you could tell they shot it, and they probably would have reshot it if they could afford to,
Yeah.
but they just like couldn't because what's it? There's like a scene where they're chasing Jim Brown and he's running down the street and it's
Yeah.
dark as shit, and he cuts down an alley and the car chases him, it cuts, and then all of a sudden it hits a trash can, and there's a big explosion, and the front of
Yeah.
the car catches on fire, and then it turns the corner, and there's no more car on fire. So,
Yeah. And
whatever
that
happened there.
that they got the one yellow Mustang chasing him, and then all of a sudden I see the guy go get out. He opens the door, tells him to get out. That guy gets out, gets shot right away. It's amazing.
Right.
But then you realize, oh wait, this is the black car. He's driving the black Citroen or whatever. The other guy was driving the Mustang. So it
Yeah.
kind of throws you out until they both pull up, and he's like, "Where's the other guy?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I
And
don't
it's
know."
not and it's not lit well, so it's kind of
Yeah,
just hard to decipher
but
what's going on. There's a scene like where does he get hit by the car? Does he jump on the
yeah,
hood of the car? What happens? I don't know. I'm
yeah.
excited. I don't
But
care.
I think part of that is also just filming for cheap. So they're just like, oh,
Yeah.
let's just film, let's just film this quick, and we can just cut to the interior if somebody looks like they're driving, because they had it was like the scene at the before he left to go there when he's at the airport and he's hitting that plane is trying to take off and he's hitting it and it's moving all around, and it would just show him in the car, and the car almost looked like a miniature car, and you were like, is this, it was just done so on the cheap, but so, so easy. It's like, I said it before also, but like The Rock, that chase scene with The Rock, Michael Bay's like, I just put the camera on the floor and we just shine lights on the sides, and the guys acted like they were driving, Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage,
Yeah.
and it works. And then they show outside of the real car chase and you think that they're really in the car, and it works. So that's where I wasn't like, oh man, how fast. I was like, okay, he's hitting this plane with this car. It's really cool. And just killing that first part, that was something else where he's not like, hey, I want to talk to you. Are you the guy? No, he's just like, hey, boom, kills the guy.
Yeah. It's kind of like I brought up Michael because it's very much like oh god, Heat, like at the end where he's like waiting at the end at the airport at the runway, it's all dark as shit. I
Yeah.
wish he wouldn't have yelled out the name because he could have
Yeah.
shot at least 3 of them before they figured out what was going on.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah, just
But
good.
also want to shoot him first. Like, who's the guy? Which one is it? But that's that other thing. The girl's like, I know who it is. And then she goes to make coffee or a drink, and then you hear the glass break, and then he's like, look out. And then she gets shot and falls down and does that dying thing. Oh, the person is, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Jim Brown's got this problem where he's got a lot of white ladies on the side. So he's at like his white lady side chick's house asking it, what have they told you? What do you know? What's going on? And then she gets popped. And then you get instant revenge. Just he seemed mad. He didn't check on her one bit. Like he didn't even go to say any last words. He grabbed his hat and was out the door to commit revenge.
Yeah, didn't he call the police, or did he?
I don't think so.
I thought there was a part. I thought maybe it was somewhere else. I thought he called the police and was like, "Yeah, we're it's a dead body." But maybe I was thinking like that's what you would do. But no, he was just like,
it's
"I'm
not
out.
even a goodbye
Okay,
or anything."
Wipe off my fingerprints. I'm good.
Yeah, just a lot of white ladies in this movie who love Slaughter.
But that's the other thing. Well, come on, he's Jim Brown. I mean, I think it's like my cousin was saying, the way these football players are. We were watching Bucktown, And in Bucktown, Fred Williamson has his hand on Pam Grier's face, and you're just like,
Mm.
holy shit, his hand is like huge. Like it's like, oh my gosh. Um, but there's the thing when that I like. They always do it in movies. Hey, we want you, the female, to go flirt with him because he seems to like you. You go do that, and we'll get him, and you'll be the inside man. And then she goes, and almost immediately, like, oh, I fell for you. Like, I love you, you
Yeah.
know. And
Instantly.
yeah. And that's what's cool though, is their chemistry is like really cool. She's usually good. I think like she's in the Matt Helm movie, the first one. Um, dang it, I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, she's in the first one and she has a good chemistry with Dean Martin and like all that. And so she's got good chemistry with him and they look like they're really having fun. And there was a quote in there where she was saying like, and again, I don't know how true this is. I think it might be true, but I don't know why Jim Brown would. They said Jim Brown put like a sheet between him and Raquel Welch on 100 Rifles, and but then with her,
Yeah, and their love scene. Yeah.
with him and Stella Stevens, there was no sheet. She's like, we had fun, we had sexy
Yeah.
time, like it was cool. And I'm like, yeah, I could
I can
see.
see why
Yeah.
why she would say that because I mean Raquel Welch is like mega famous. If
Yeah.
something goes wrong there,
That
your career is done.
that's exactly what I was
And
thinking.
could
I
have
was
something
gonna
more
say,
about like
yeah,
her attitude as a being next to someone of color as opposed to Stella Stevens' attitude of playing with someone of color.
yeah,
There's a lot of things at play, and
yeah,
like that
very true.
they really drive it home in Slaughter. Like there's a reason why all of Slaughter's love interests are white women.
Mhm.
There's a reason why the whole subplot of this movie is steal Rip Torn's girl and then flaunt it in front of Rip Torn. Like a part of the powerful allure of black characters in a black exploitation movie like this, especially a black male character, is dominating white culture, and it's
Yeah,
something that you would not see at all. And so it's very important to have
yeah,
him doing these things that seem extremely subversive. And but let's be honest, Jim Brown dated a lot of white women in real
yeah,
life. It
yeah.
was the preference.
I could see
So
that.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no, but it's also that thing of like, Rip Torn's mad at him because, it's like that guy's not going to take my girl. If he touches her, you kill him. It's like, oh
Dude,
my God.
from the beginning, there's a scene
Yeah.
where they're sitting at the table and she's kind of just looking at Jim Brown as he's the only black guy in the whole room, by the
Yeah.
way. He walks in, everyone's looking at him, but she looks a
Yeah.
little too long, and Rip Torn's like, "What are you looking at? You like
Yeah.
that, huh? What are you looking at?"
Yeah.
And you can tell that it's definitely like a weird sexual fetish
But
for him because later on in the movie, he's like, "Oh, you like that? Oh, tell me how much you like it." And you're like, "Okay, you like this a little too much. You're racist weirdo. Like you're being weird."
but it was that cool thing that he did where he grabs her hand. They don't cut to him holding her hand under the table, but he like
Yeah,
grabs her. It's that abusive relationship of him grabbing her
definitely.
wrist and pulling it down and being like, no, stop, almost like you would
Yeah,
a dog on a leash, like, no, quit it. And
yeah.
he's just holding that. And then, and then she still like looks and smiles at him, I think, when he leaves. And
Oh
then,
yeah, because he was like, "Do you like it?" And he's like, "I like it. I'm looking right at it."
yeah, exactly. And then when she does go get with him, then later when he's like, oh, how did they know where I was? Did you betray me? Like, what the fuck? They have that really cool moment where she's like, well, then I'm gonna leave. Like, it's kind of a naturalistic thing. It's not, but also you could see like you're writing that and you go, how do we write out of this? How do we make him
Mm,
trust her now? And she's just
yeah.
like, well, then I'm gonna leave. And he's like, and then they laugh and he's like, okay, like you do want to be with me. Okay, I know that you didn't tell them.
Yeah, I wish they had spent a little more time developing Stella Stevens' character because I think it would have really made the movie brighter. Because
Yeah.
it's not until like the mid to the end where she's like, "Oh, I'm actually a prostitute and I belong to this
Yeah,
guy. I
I've
was
been with him
basically
for
sold to
8
him."
years. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was a gift to him, and it's
Yeah.
like what? Like as a woman watching it, I was like, "I'm sorry, what? Can you repeat that? That's crazy."
Yeah. Yeah.
Ma'am. And so
Yeah.
it seems like she has an actual genuine relationship with Slaughter's character. So it's kind of sad. I wish they had spent a little more time developing that little angle.
Yeah.
But there's not much attention paid to the women other than they are there for sexual pleasure.
Yeah, and to look at their boobies. But yeah, it is that thing. Like Rip Torn's probably a 2 pump chump, and then she's with Jim Brown, who's like, "Oh, I can go all night," and she's like, "Oh, This is actually a love relationship. Like it's not just
Yeah.
wham bam, thank you, ma'am, or whatever." Um, but it's but I like that I like where it's not a thing where he kicks her out and then realizes later, like, oh, I was wrong about her. Like they talk it out,
No, she kind
and
of like
he's
joins
like,
their team.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, even
And
with Don, like the other guy's character too, is like partner. They're not
Harry,
really partners. Like he's kind of working for this other guy that's paying them, but then kind of switches to help Slaughter in his mission. And then at the end, kind of, him and his girl partner, like they're all kind of working together on the same team, even though it's not like official.
yeah,
They're all
yeah,
just kind of
yeah,
following Slaughter's lead.
yeah, yeah. And then yeah, because then the girl's like, I'm gonna go pick up Price, and he's like, well, we're gonna go do this mission. And what's the coolest, I don't want to jump to it, but I guess we're kind of there. Well, the guys attack him on the roof, first of all, and he's like, and so he goes, oh, they all pull their guns out, and then one guy goes, no, put your guns away, like, come on. And he's like, oh, okay. And he wraps that shirt, takes his shirt off, wraps it around his hand. He's like, let's go,
Yeah.
like knife to fist. And then they're fighting a little bit. He knocks them down. That one guy, though, he just throws over the edge. I'm like, oh shit. And it's done really well where there's steam coming out of the motor from whatever's down lower on the roof. And he just goes through the stuff almost like Star Wars when he falls and it just goes through some steam or whatever.
Hmm.
But he just like fall, and you're like, oh shit, he's dead. Like, and it's done really well. It's not, you can't tell it's a dummy or whatever. It just looks really good. And then the other
Yeah.
guy that he throws over, and that guy just, I forget, where does that, oh, that guy falls in the water. Yeah. And then that guy falls in the pool thing up front, the fountain.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and, and then the other guy though chickens out and like runs away because now he knows, like, oh shit, I don't want to go over the side. Like, oh fuck. But what's the coolest thing when they agree to go to do this mission, they're coming in on that fucking Mustang Mach 1, and they skid in there, and that door just opens and he just steps
He's got
out.
the shotgun out the
Fucking
window
yeah,
before they even roll up. He's got
yeah,
it out the window.
yeah. Oh, it is.
It kind of reminded me of Death Proof with Zoe and the
Oh
steel
yeah,
beam out the window. It was very that
yeah,
where like he didn't even the car didn't even stop and he was out
yeah.
shooting motherfuckers.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
good.
yeah. It was like that's just bad. I'm like, I wonder how many times they had to do that. If they're just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna step out, like just so fluid, so cool.
Yeah, I was
And
interested to know how many stunts Jim Brown actually did because a lot of it looks like it was low budget and they didn't have enough. So, a couple scenes where you're like, oh, that must be him actually jumping and running.
yeah,
And that scene where they fucking fly out the window into the pool, it looked
yeah,
very real.
yeah, yeah. I was like, holy shit. And then the thing with Harry's like kind of reminds me of, I mean, I hate to bring up other movies, but True Lies had where um Tom Tom's being shot at, comedian, can't think of his
Oh,
name.
Tom Arnold, yeah.
Tom Arnold. Tom Arnold's being shot at. He hides behind that pole, and then he steps out and he like touches his crotch and his chest and he's like, oh, I'm okay. And he goes after him. It reminded me of that where they're having this cool shootout. Harry is with these bad guys where Harry will like hide behind something, shoot, and then he's being shot at from somewhere else. So he'll kind of hide and then stick out and shoot and kill somebody and then move over somewhere else. And then they're shooting. So it's not just like kill, kill, kill. Like he's actually being shot at and trying to dodge. And, it's done really well.
Yeah, there's a couple of things where you're like, oh yeah, shit, Green Berets. Like,
Yeah.
they only spend like a tiny bit
Yeah.
touching on it, and then all of a sudden you're watching Jim Brown move and shoot, and you're like, oh yeah, shit, Green
Yeah.
Beret.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even there's that part where that I like too. This is another different thing that you wouldn't happen. I always wonder about this stuff is so toward the end now, not toward the end, but anyway, the bad guy is there and that other guy comes around the corner during the shootout. That one of his men comes around the corner and he just shoots a guy because he's
Yeah, whoops.
nervous and kills him. And then he's like, oh, okay. And goes on. And I'm like, yeah, that should happen more often. Like there should be
Yes.
shit like that. Like, you don't want, just, oh, I know it's you.
Oh no,
But
it's
then also
realistic.
I think Harry's sitting there with a gun and then he just shoots a guy, aren't they? Yeah, it's him and that guy. And Harry's just kind of waiting. And then he goes ahead and like shoots or like just runs in and shoots immediately. I forget, but it's really cool. But also, what we forgot to say, we kind of said it before. Now, Rip Torn goes ahead and kills
Yeah, the
Mr.
double cross.
Facine. What's his name?
His boss, yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, now
The
Felice.
scenes where scene where they shoot him is great. His squibs looked wonderful. You
Oh
could kind
yeah,
of see his squib plate, like where it's on his chest.
yeah,
But the explosions look great in the way the blood kind of just like slowly like spurts out of him. I don't know
yeah.
how they did that. It was
And
great.
also that first one when he's like backing up and he keeps backing up and then they
Yes.
shoot and it gets onto the wall. And then you're thinking, okay, that's it. But then it shows them all shooting at him. And then he, it's
Yeah, and then
crazy.
as they
Yeah.
zoom
And
out, and
then
it's
they
very
all,
stylized, almost like a horror movie, with him kind of laying there on the
yeah,
handball court.
yeah.
That's another one of those like, okay, I see you. These guys definitely have seen a John Borman movie or two. It's very
Yeah, yeah,
evident.
yeah. Very true. Yeah, and that's the other thing where you could see where you could just take, you know, Point Blank and just put black people in it and make that. You could take Coffee, put white people in it, make Coffee. It wouldn't be as good,
No, it should be the
but
opposite.
yeah,
I can't believe that
yeah,
more movies aren't like just replace this cast with black folks
yeah,
and rewrite it to fit. I mean, like there's so many things that can be improved on just
yeah,
by
yeah,
adding that.
yeah, for sure. The something that I want to touch on before we're not end, but you know what I mean. You had said on your show that everybody listened to your show that you weren't sure that Quentin Tarantino has this love-hate relationship with Lee Marvin. And
Yeah.
you were mentioning the thing about big Lee Marvin fan. I think it's what the author said of the book of Point Blank and the Generals. What is Dirty Generals? What's it called?
Killing
Killing
Generals.
Generals. Sorry. Um, and where it's that thing of him just saying like you're a big Lee Marvin, like we're two macho dudes and we're fighting. Like I remember years ago, I didn't put two and two together. I don't know why, but I didn't see Point Blank as many times, but
Yeah.
we go and see Mel Gibson's Payback, me and my buddy in the
Yeah.
theater. And I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like he's gritty and he's
Yeah, I
cool.
love
And
Payback. Yeah.
we're leaving and I go, you know what? That's like a Lee Marvin movie. Like Lee Marvin would be good in something like that. And then you go, oh, duh. Yeah, it was a remake of a Lee Marvin movie. But yeah, Lee Marvin and Mel Gibson do it good. But for Parker, I haven't seen The Outfit yet. I know you love it. But then the one with Jason Statham, like, no, you're not my Parker. Like,
I don't know if I've seen that one.
it was called something with a P, not Payback, but
Oh,
it's
the
called. But it was him and
Peacemaker?
no, it was him and J Lo are in it,
Yeah, I missed that one.
and Michael Chiklis, like
Oh, I love Michael Chiklis.
like they're driving in an SUV after the crime, and Michael Chick, it's a stereotypical. Okay, Parker, hang on, no, not Porter, even Porter was Payback. But then they're loading their guns, and then they're gonna kill him. And they shoot him, and they dump him out of the car, and then he gets better, and he gets revenge, and they think that he's.
Ah,
It's really cool. It's cool in that way, but it's bad in other ways. But yeah, those books are really good. But anyway, my thing for that is I think it's just two macho guys who it's like, oh, you're a big Lee Marvin fan, just like when he mentions Charles Bronson, we got
right.
Mr. Majestic here in True Romance. It's
Yeah.
like, okay. But also I did read where he's like, Point Blank, he only likes that opening 10 minutes of him walking down the hallway of where you go to the airport. I got to find that so I can always go. Walking down there, he's like, that's the only kind of thing that I like. But also, that's Quentin liking the book and then
Yeah,
not liking what they did to the book and being like,
sure.
okay. But also, I can separate. I read the book for Ready Player One, and then I saw the movie for Ready Player One. Two different things. The book is really
Yeah.
cool. You understand that the movie couldn't have family ties and everything else in it because you need rights for all that shit. And
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. I think Quentin's like so in love with the book that the movie didn't. And then when he saw the other one, and he's a John Flynn fan, so when he sees, the other one that's more gritty, he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm with you that yes, Point Blank has those cool, just gritty moments. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm mega curious just to 'cause obviously Tarantino is some kind of fan because he wrote
Yeah.
it in the script of Reservoir
Yeah.
Dogs and it's mentioned at all.
Yeah,
But the way it's mentioned
yeah,
feels like an insult because he's basically like calling Harvey Keitel's
Calling him
character
a
like an
bitch.
overactor. Like you're
Oh,
you're
yeah.
or like why are you so hot right now? Like you're really like losing your mind over nothing. And it's funny because as a big Lee Marvin fan, I'm like, I don't see that many movies where he's acting like that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
Mr. Blonde is standing there calm and cool,
yeah.
very much how Lee Marvin acts in this other movie with Spencer Tracy called Bad Day at Black Rock. And
Oh,
that was
yeah.
a
Oh,
thing that Lee Marvin like
such a
learned
good
from Spencer
movie.
Tracy. You just
Yeah,
let people run around and act crazy and act a fool, let Robert Ryan do all his lines and whatever,
yeah,
and just kind of sit there cool.
yeah.
Because why fight these young guys? So I
There's
don't. I'd love to get Tarantino on the phone one day so I can be like,
yeah,
"What do you mean by this?
yeah.
And why don't you like this movie Point Blank?"
There's exactly. There's a really good if you listen to the audio commentary, Bad Day at Black Rock, he talks about how like John Sturges like I filmed it this way at like
Yeah,
just with Robert Ryan standing there at that one part and Spencer Tracy sitting there. Spencer Tracy doesn't move, doesn't feel like he needs to
yeah.
stand up to defend himself. He just sits there and lets Robert Ryan talk to him. And just they talk about all that directing. But yeah, all of them standing by the train tracks, like that cool shot of Ernest
It's
Borgnine, all
great.
of them, like it's awesome. But yeah, that
And never
movie,
forget,
yeah.
Robert Ryan is wearing a red hat in that movie. Why is Robert Ryan wearing a red hat in that movie?
Uh,
It's the same reason that people are wearing red hats right now, mostly. Not to be
oh,
political, but
right.
it's very similar. And the red
Was
hats make an appearance in The Klansman also. So
was
it's
he
kind of
that
like this
was he
weird
that
tie through.
was he that way because he was in Odds Against Tomorrow
I don't think so. I think he was just
or
playing a character. I don't think,
okay,
it was
yeah,
Robert Ryan wasn't really that
because
guy. It was just that
right,
his character in Bad Day at Black Rock is playing a white supremacist
okay, yeah, because
jerk.
in that movie he told Sidney Poitier like, hey, like he was they
Yeah.
were good friends and he was always supporting him. It like reminds me of the Richard Widmark always when he was with Sidney Poitier and they were doing that movie where he's like I feel bad about calling you the N word and Sidney
Yeah.
Poitier is like, just fucking do it. That's your character. Like, I'm not going to take offense
Yeah.
to it. Same thing Leonardo said. And Sam Jackson's like, dude, it's a Tuesday. We're making a movie. Like, come on, let's do it. And he's
But
like, oh,
Leo was right to feel some type of way because if you listen to how the black community talks about it, like they don't appreciate the liberalness of the word. So like
yeah,
the criticisms are valid,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I like the idea of liberal white actors specifically being like, I don't know if I should say this
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. It is. It's very true. And that's where, like, somebody was saying, like, there was a meme that came up of like Gen Z watching Blazing Saddles, like how they're going to be offended.
Hmm.
And it is that thing of watching these 70s movies where you can enjoy them, but also what some people say, and I forget who it was, the name black exploitation was like derogatory. Like people were like,
Yes.
you're putting it down. You're not just saying it's a movie. You're saying, oh, it's black
Yeah.
exploitation. It's in a genre. And but but yeah,
I have
it's
a theory as to why that is.
oh,
I
okay.
think that blaxploitation movies got put in a box for multiple reasons, right? So, like this
Mhm.
movie is a great example. It's a movie written by two white dudes,
Mhm.
directed by a white dude,
Yeah.
starring a black guy. He's
Yeah.
almost like, besides his counterpart character Marlene, the only black people in the whole film.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
But the hopes of the black community are like hinging on Slaughter's character and what happens with this movie to the
Yeah.
point where black communities fill up movie theaters to the point where they're making tens of millions of dollars for this movie in the 70s,
Yeah.
early 70s.
Yeah.
It's unheard of because people want to see the story of a person like Slaughter rising up
fighting
and
the
finally
man.
beating
Yeah.
white oppressors. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, but the money's not going straight to Jim Brown and the black community either. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and the idea of calling it blaxploitation, they are being exploited on the
Mhm.
community also and the actors, but at the same time, the movies are legendary. The stories that they tell are super valid and really important. If not, we wouldn't be talking about this shit now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels weird to be two white people talking about
No, no,
this movie,
no,
but at the same time,
no,
it's like it's so important that like even touches me. So
I hear you. It's like Melvin Van Peebles. There's a really good documentary that this
yeah,
guy
he's the
that I
best.
know does it. Melvin Van Peebles puts out Sweet Badass and Sweet Sweetback. And you're like, and that's like he's making the money, it's black made, it's black
Yeah,
money. And then you see other people going, oh wait, this makes money. And then
yeah,
they just start, and now it's Hollywood making the money and then being like, okay. And then as soon as those movies stop making money, then they're like, okay, we're
yeah.
done.
Yeah, and same with Jack
Yeah.
Hill. Like Jack Hill saw the success
Yeah.
of Slaughter and said, "Well, what if we did this with a woman?"
Yeah.
And we got
Yeah.
this woman who's been working in Philippines making tons of movies. Let's just bang out some movies real fast. It's
Yeah.
crazy. The exploitation part, I feel like, is important in the genre name because it really explains what happened to the people who built the genre, but also it is like a thing to keep it in a box to keep people from actually paying attention to how important some of the films are. You know,
Yeah.
Uptight from 1968 is labeled a blaxploitation movie, but it's a fucking art house film directed by Ossie Davis. Like it's
Oh
not.
wow.
You
Yeah.
can call it whatever you want but to try to belittle black cinema, but I
Yeah.
mean, the fact remains is that these are important black movies with important black actors. The end. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. And gave work to a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
But it's that thing too of where I said we're like now. So then I'm watching today, Missing in Action 3, and there's some bad guy inside this guard shack, and Chuck Norris just busts through the window and shoots the guy and kills him and killing all these people. And you're like, this movie did like subverted what you thought, like, and that's what exploitation does of, whether it's
Yeah.
Grindhouse or whatever. You're thinking like now movies have become, like I said, oh, we're running out of fuel. What do we do? Oh, well, they know they're going to land, they're going to live, nobody's going to die. But no, then you can do
Yeah.
something and kill somebody and be like, holy shit, that person died. So, but
Yeah, that's how I felt
yeah,
when I was watching this movie. Every time I thought I knew what was going to happen,
yeah.
some action sequence happened or something where I was like, "Oh, that didn't." Like I thought that for sure that the white lady was going to double cross
Oh yeah,
Jim Brown. I thought for
yeah,
sure she was going to really live out to her role as the honeypot, but it surprised me because she
yeah,
was loyal to him at the end.
yeah. I really thought,
Didn't save her from biting it.
like I said there at the end, when they're standing up there in the middle, when they're going to kill that guy, I really thought that guy was his loyal guy. When he put the gun to him, I'm like, haha, now Rip Torn's in
Yeah.
trouble. But then no, the guy, he takes a gun from the guy and shoots him. And then that's that other thing where people also watch these movies and go, oh my God, Stella Stevens got beat up, punched in the stomach and kicked like 2 times by the
Yeah.
guy. And you're like, oh my God, but that's the kind of movies you were in. That's what makes you. There's a movie called the guy from Newhart. I'm Daryl, this is my brother. I'm Larry, this Larry from, he's also in Blade Runner. William Sadler. Sadler, yeah. Now I'm thinking, who's the guy from Bill and Ted's? Anyway, but it's William Sadler, the guy from Newhart, and he's in a movie called shit, damn it. It's anyway, it's this. There are two white guys who escaped from prison, and they go to this house and they're tormenting these black people. They got them tied up and they're doing all this, but they get their
Mm.
revenge in the long run. But it's this whole thing where I could see people going like, "Oh, this is uncomfortable." Same thing with her being beat and punched and all that, where you're like, okay, you know, but same thing
Yeah.
with
And
Grindhouse stuff, where you have to be in the mode, you have to know what you're getting into to be like, okay. It's like I've always said, I know we're two white people talking about black exploitation, but also other things. I would rather have, I had a what was I watching the other day? It came up with a description. Oh, yeah, I was watching Ballerina. Came up and it said gonna have flashing lights so that in case you have seizures or light sensitive. And it was like, okay, that's all I
mm,
need. Just like HBO did when they had Gone with the Wind, when HBO Max first came out. And it was like, here's Gone with the Wind. And when you went to watch it, the beginning said, it's an old movie and it's got some questionable things in it. That's all I need. I don't need you to pull that
yeah.
down. I don't need,
Yeah.
I don't need the French Connection pulled down. I want the original French Connection just explained in the beginning. Hey, this might have some questionable things,
Yeah.
you know. So, and nothing cut out. Like you said, you were hoping that, okay, I hope Bezos didn't pull
Yeah.
some
You
shit.
never know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you never know, especially with like movies with like black actors. It's like, what did they cut? I don't know if I can trust this because I heard
yeah.
that Amazon loves to censor some stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's
But I did watch it on Amazon Prime, and they had like the whole Soul Cinema collection on Prime
I
essentially,
I saw,
and it
yeah,
kind of
they
brought
had
me back because
Bucktown
I
on there. And yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, now's a good time if you wanted to check out some blaxploitation movies. I hate to give Bezos $1, but
Yeah,
it's a
well,
good resource right now.
if you subscribe, then you can just watch it for free and just pretend that you're not giving him the money. My wife orders stuff all the time,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay. But the New York Times critic decried the technique for that wide angle as a kind of
Uh-huh.
haphazard pretentiousness. So I didn't think of that. I thought
Oh,
him being like, I'm going to try something different. It pulled me out a little bit, but then when you reminded me, there was that fight in that big empty room where the guy like goes flying. It was like really cool. And I think they did that
yeah.
pool. Them
Yeah, and
falling in
there's
the
like
pool was
a
wide angle.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, and like the guy's up on a balcony and like it cuts to that fish angle lens as soon as he falls and then it goes right back to normal.
Yeah.
Good. So I like
And
the idea of it's only used in a fight scene.
yeah. And what else was interesting that this reminded, I would just recently, we did like Bonnie and Clyde like 4 weeks ago or whatever. Not Bonnie and Clyde,
Mm.
sorry. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. And where they're filming that reminds me of that end shootout. Like those buildings that they're up on top of looks just
Yes.
like that little shopping area where in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid where they're kind of hiding and they got to run like, he's covering him while Butch
Yeah.
runs. I was like, is this filmed in the same place? Like it could be, but
Yeah, it's like
anyway,
a little hacienda. That was
yeah,
yeah. I like
yeah,
that end scene. Just the idea of putting it in that kind of locale really broke it up so it doesn't feel like
yeah,
a typical blaxploitation movie.
yeah,
Smart.
and that they're all. It's like what I loved about Catalani and Little Britches was Rod Steiger showed up on top of this building, and you're like, oh shit, they've been caught. Rod Steiger's there. He knows they're there. Then all of a sudden, two other guys come out from the side of Rod Steiger, and I'm like, oh shit. And then two other guys come out. And so now there's five, Rod Steiger and four, and then more and more. And I'm like, oh, fuck, they're outgunned. What are they going to do? And that's what's
Yeah.
cool about this. They're all just showing up. And he's like, hey, the guys are up there. And they're like, okay, like really cool. And then they had the car chase, which we didn't talk about.
The car chase is so
It was
cool.
so good. I was hoping he would jump in that Mustang, but he jumped in that black Citroen or whatever that car was. Maybe a Mercedes. I don't know. But yeah, they're chasing down the dirt road going really, really fast. I'm like, is he gonna wreck? Like, and it looks like Rip Torn's really driving. Like he looks, afraid.
Yeah.
And then they turn and now they're on blacktop and they're going and it's just and then the way that road like it's just so cool. And then I don't know if we want to ruin it, but we already said Mad Max, whatever. But the car flips over and Rip Torn's
Yeah.
stuck in there and he's like, help me, help me. And Jim Brown's like, yeah, no. And what does he not a lighter? What does he do? He lights something. He's got something that he throws down because it's leaking gas. I forget. He
Mm.
lit some metal thing. But anyway, he lights it up and Rip Torn's like, help me, like I'm sorry, like kind of thing, which like you said, yeah, reminds you of the end of Death Proof, where it's like, oh, he's like
Yeah, but
crying.
have you seen Sinners yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just like the end of Sinners, where the white supremacist guy is like, "Hey,
Oh yeah.
help me!" And then, Michael B. Jordan's character asks him for a light,
Yeah.
for a cigarette, and then he initially is like, "Screw you," and then eventually gives it. It's very that same vibe where it's just like a dying
Yeah.
racist with their last breath begging for help from a black person, and then just getting like the sweetest revenge of being like, "No."
That's again, talk about like, and even though Payback was made like in the 90s, but that's what I liked with that when he finally caught Mal and he's got him on the ground and he goes and he's going to smoke a cigarette and he goes, hey, do you have a light? And Mal's on the ground on his back and he goes and he's checking, he's got a cigarette in his mouth and he's like, no, I don't. And he goes, what good are you? And he puts a pillow over his head and shoots him in the face. And you're like, holy
Yeah.
shit, like it's that kind of like cool, like, oh my God, like, yeah, don't give me the sob story. You tried to kill me, and you tried, and you're abusive to the girl, so
Oh, and he's just
but
the most racist character in the whole movie. I watched Slaughter with my grandmother. She's 99 years old,
cool.
and she watches a lot of movies with me. She'll watch anything. She's
Yeah.
very open minded. She violence, whatever, sex scenes, it's fine.
Cool.
She's 99. You're not gonna
Yeah.
surprise her. She
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like shocked that they used the N word so much. Like she was not
Mhm.
happy with how many times Slaughter got called a slur, and
Yeah.
every time it happened, it made her uncomfortable. And I had to remind her, I was like, "This is a movie made for a black audience, so like they're setting up that these characters are horrible, awful people. So when the revenge comes, you
Yeah.
feel like
It's sweet.
justified
Yeah.
in his righteous anger. Yeah. So don't
Yeah.
feel bad for Slaughter because he's gonna
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is so, yeah, be warned, everybody. The use the N word about 7 times in this movie, maybe more.
Is
But
hard R for
yes.
sure.
But according to an August 1972 Hollywood Reporter news item, the highly successful film brought AIP the biggest business at the box office in the 18-year history of the company. Like, and that's where
Yeah.
also you can see some of these businesses that were like, okay, let's make more. Like what's funny, and I've said it here, but I haven't said it to you. I have American Ninja and American Ninja 2, and on there there's a making of thing on there. So when Canon did American Ninja, they were like, "Oh, it made money." So when they did American Ninja 2,
Mm,
they made it for less money. You would think when they make sequels now, they put more money into it to make a
yeah.
sequel to, but these Canon guys were like, "No, no, let's make it for less and we'll make more money because it's a sequel and everybody likes the first one."
Uh,
It's like, "Oh my gosh, how crazy." But yeah, and then just like
yeah, those
film
Canon guys
noir
are
and
crazy.
yeah, exactly. Just like film noir and everything where they just gets oversaturated and then it's like, and then the boom, the bubble pops and I'm like, come on, give me more. Like I love it. But the
Yeah, no,
reviews,
not this one. This one was so good. They were like, we need a
yeah,
sequel
yeah,
immediately. Start
exactly.
writing it
Yeah.
right now.
I need to watch this sequel. Variety called it, quote, an exploitable, violent programmer, which has some slick values, and Jack Starrett's direction is long on action but short on convincing drama. Stella Stevens, naked and clothed, adds to the scenery. The American international
Ooh.
release will appeal to the rough trade, end quote. So yeah, I think it was good. I'll give you my rating here in a minute, but first there's a retrospective review. Todd Dugan of the Digital Bits noted the film's dated setups, stiff acting, and horrifying dialogue. I don't believe in the stiff acting or the horrifying dialogue. Horrifying dialogue, I guess, is what he means. I get it. But felt that Brown had a lot of charm and charisma, and he's always interesting to watch. This is a guy that has the right walk, the right stare, and the right sexual bravura to carry anything off. Dugan ultimately concluded that Slaughter, quote, will please even the hardest fan of exploitation films, end quote. So, yeah, I read that because he had good things to say about Jim Brown, which, yeah, you watch, there's a lot of these actors in these that you just love that you've seen in other things, or even Jim Brown of like, if you're young and you've only seen Mars Attacks and you're like, oh, that guy, like, no, he's in,
Yeah.
other things. So
Yeah.
yeah. And like I said, Big
Well, and
Gun
Jim
was really
Brown's like
good.
Jim Brown's one of those people that now it's like, his legacy obviously got sullied because he was out here in the streets doing some shit he shouldn't have been. There, if you just
Yeah.
Google Jim Brown and it's hard to get through any, like I was trying to look up stuff about this movie and
Yeah.
it is really hard to even get through any articles that don't mention the allegations that were against him. And it sucks because I really loved this dude and wanted the best. So when
Yeah.
I heard about this stuff and like his exploits at the Play My Mansion, I was like, I don't. How do we talk about you
Yeah.
without having to discount what you did? It sucks. But
Yeah. It's
what I noticed about this movie is that
mhm.
he's like mega skinny. If you see him in The Dirty Dozen, he's like bulky and he's still got his
Yeah.
football weight and he's like a kind of shorter looking stocky.
Do
In
you
Slaughter,
do
he
you
looks
know
tall and slender and lean.
do you know the year that he stopped football? Was that right before or
Stopped
during?
playing football in 1966 and then
Okay.
started
Oh
shooting The Dirty
yeah. So he
Dozen
is.
that
Yeah.
same year.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. But I was wondering if like cocaine doesn't play a factor here because he is very, very trim in Slaughter to the point
I
where it's like his body looks like fully changed and he starts to change back like over time. But this
yeah.
early 70s period where you're like, whoa, Jim, do you
Yeah,
eat? What is happening with
yeah,
you?
he doesn't have the like Frank,
He still looks bulky
Fred
and big, but he's
Williamson,
very
yeah.
trim.
Fred Williamson has the wideness and like the bigness, but yeah, I
Yeah.
was looking
No,
at
he has more of like a
Steve.
kung fu body in this one.
Yeah, yeah, he looked like Bruce Lee. You being a woman,
Yeah.
of course, you were looking at that. I was looking at the boobs on Stella Stevens, so I was like,
Did he?
oh,
Well, I was looking at both.
glorious.
He takes
Yeah,
his
yeah,
shirt off, and
yeah.
you're like, "Hey, wow!" And
That's
then
right.
she's
Yeah,
in the shower for the obligatory shower scene that happens in every black exploitation movie, whether
yeah,
it is plot central or not.
yeah,
And we salute
yeah.
it. It's
Yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah, exactly. No, no, that could be, and that's like, the recent thing that came out where somebody asked the producer of Popeye, like, how was cocaine on set? He's like, the whole movie is made with cocaine. Are you kidding? Like,
It's
yeah,
the whole thing was
that
just
was
for cocaine. This is how
yeah,
he
that
paid for
was
the
yeah,
cocaine.
that was the thing. That's like we did Life Force, and they just, Canon would give whatever money because they wanted Toby Hooper to do this movie, and they gave him all this
Mm.
money, and they said probably half of it was cocaine that he bought for the cocaine, and then the other half was for the movie.
This-
But talking about that, that's
and it still
something.
looks great. Still looks good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's something. Life Force, that French woman in Life Force, she was just walking around nude, and the guys who were talking to her off when they're not making the movie were like, okay, I had to put like, okay, hi, how you doing? To not, but she was fine. She was like, I'm good.
Trying to be
I'm from
respectful.
I'm from France. I'm good. So in this movie, I mean, we know obviously anything that Tarantino might have liked or used in the film. We said, of course, that end thing, but also the slaughter dun dun, like so cool, that music.
Yeah, I watched this movie before before Tarantino made
Oh,
Inglourious
okay.
Bastards.
Yeah.
I watched Inglourious Bastards, which admittedly not my favorite Tarantino. I probably watched it like not the least, but I don't watch it as much as the others.
Right,
So when
right,
the
yeah.
sound like when Billy Preston's song kicks on and it's that opening sound,
Yeah.
I was instantly transported back to like Tarantino universe. Couldn't figure out what it was from right away. And then once I did, I was like, "Oh shit, this is great," because it's just a weird thing you would have never associated with a
That-
war movie, but the sound fits a war movie.
That's
weird.
what's so fucking cool that I've said about anybody, Quentin Tarantino specific. I don't want to blow the guy. I'm just saying where he knows how to, I'm going to take this, I'm going to change it and make it my own.
Yeah.
Where it's not just like, I'm going to remake Payback into with girls or whatever. His is like totally, or I'm going to put that scene in a movie. No, his is, I'm going to do that scene, but different. And it's the same thing with when my dad saw Inglourious Bastards for the first time, and they're interrogating her in the veterinarians, the animal hospital, and they're playing this music in the background. And my dad saw first time my dad saw it, he's like, "Oh my god!" I go, "What?" He goes, "That's the music from Dark of the Sun." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it is." He's like, "Yeah." I go, "Oh my!" But he loved that song, and he knew. And same thing with Kill Bill. One day I played him. He hadn't seen Kill
there's
Bill.
like the Corpaneros song in there.
I played him the Santa Esmeralda music, and he was like, "Wait a minute." He goes, "I used to have this album, and I would sit and listen to it. This is a great song." And I'm like, "Okay." I go, "That's cool," because Quentin puts it in. You've heard the Animals do it or whatever, but you've never heard this one. And then same thing as a visual. I was watching Kill Bill 2 one day, and he walks in and he sees her going to the door, and she's got the sword over her shoulder and the leather jacket, and she's coming into the door to see that her baby. And my dad goes, "Oh wow, she looks like David Carradine right there from Kung Fu," like when he would carry the flute.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, she's going to see David Carradine, like he's Bill. And he's like, "Oh my god, really?" I'm like, "Yeah." So like all those little visual things or music touches that Ennio Morricone was like, your movies are okay, but why do you put in my music that was meant for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and you put it into Kill Bill? And then when he talks to him, then he understands, like, oh, okay, I get it now, But yeah, and
and then he does it again when he made The Hateful Eight.
Yeah,
and he's using the leftover music from The Thing. That got me right. I'm in the theater going, it's the fucking Thing. Like I was so stoked.
Yeah, that's when Ennio Morricone was like, "Okay, I get it. Now I'll work with you and we'll do this."
Yeah.
But that's that other thing of it's like we'll always know, and other movies are this way too, but you'll always know the Stuck in the Middle. You know that from Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Like whenever you hear it, you think of that scene. And whenever I hear the Marvin Gaye song from Charlie's Angels, I think of, Sam Rockwell dancing before he shoots, Drew Barrymore.
Mm.
Um,
I'm so glad you brought that up because I almost forgot.
yeah.
There's a
Oh,
scene where Jim Brown's walking in Slaughter where he's kind of just like, it's just a quick insert where he's just like walking down the street, whistling to himself.
uh-huh.
He's whistling the song Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. You can
Oh,
hear it. He's
wow.
whistling the melody to What's Going On.
Oh,
And then What's
wow.
Going On had come out literally like 6 months before they shot that movie. So it was just
Wow.
coming out that year in 71. And then they put it in the movie. It's very quick. You'll miss
Yeah.
it. But
And that's
I was
where
listening.
you could probably get away with that. We can't put it in, but you can hum it
And
or sing.
it's changed just enough where
Yeah.
it doesn't, and then you sound it and you're like, oh, okay, that's it. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
wow, and it's just something that Jim Brown is just doing off the cuff, just came out of him improv.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool.
And then one of my favorite Tarantino songisms he did is
Mhm.
in the last one in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Ari Aster made this movie Hereditary in 2018, and he uses this song called "The Circle Game." And right after this like horrible shit with all these witches happens, boom, this bright song from the '60s comes on, and it
Yeah.
scarred me for life. Like I was like so fucked up over it.
Yeah.
And then Tarantino reused that song in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and made it like happy and fun again. And so
Yeah.
it's like, okay, phew, I can listen to it without being totally scared for my
Yeah,
life that
yeah,
Tony
not being-
Collette's gonna come out and murder me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tarantino.
I am your mother. No, that's really cool too. And things and just music that you've never heard of that all of a sudden now you're like, oh, I like this song. Like, cool.
Yeah,
Like,
I owe a lot of my musical taste to Tarantino showing me some stuff, showing me the way. Same with film. It's like, hey, thanks for
Yeah.
making Jackie Brown so I could go down these rabbit holes of all these old movies.
Yeah, it's like I said, with me being on this trajectory of doing this podcast where I'm like, I've never heard of I almost want to say the name of that movie, but I was wrong again, that biker movie. But anyway, it was like, oh, I've never seen this, I've never seen that. Now I get to watch it. And it would be cooler if, like I said, I mean, you were watching it with your grandma, but if you and I were there watching it together, we'd be like, elbowing each other,
Yeah.
drinking beers, whatever, having a good old time. When you watch it by yourself, you're like, okay, that was really cool, but it'd be a little better if you were, in a group. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember when I went to the New Bev, I thought, okay, it's going to be like Quentin talks about going to the Black Theater the first time to see Black Gun. And it's going to be like, we can yell out, woo, suck my dick. And this will
No.
be awesome. And then they're like, you can't do anything. And my friend Colleen, she was like, I was so upset. Like I had so many jokes that I wanted to throw at the screen. And my buddy was like, me too.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I understand the respect of it, but also then you go down that road, then it's going to be non-funny people
But
or things
it's
just
sad though.
pulling you out of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love to go to the New Bev when I'm in California. I go. I have to
Yeah.
go. I made myself a pact that if they show a Lee Marvin movie, I like stop
Mhm.
what I'm doing and fly down there to go.
Cool.
And one of the last times I went, I saw midnight of Tarantino's From Dusk Till Dawn.
Cool.
And I thought, this is it. I'm going to watch From Dusk Till Dawn, mostly with some kids who have never seen it. And we're going to hoop and holler and we're going to eat popcorn. It's going to be so great. I remember
Yeah.
seeing From Dusk Till Dawn. I snuck into it when I was in like third grade.
Oh, wow.
So I was really looking forward to seeing it again. And then it was dead silent. Like
Yeah.
they laughed where they were supposed to laugh, but there were no woos. It was really disappointing. It was like
yeah.
Tarantino would sit in the back and hate this because
Yeah.
none of you all are giving the life that this
Eh,
movie requires.
That reminds me, remember a long time ago, it was on Pure Cinema, I think, where he was like, he made friends back with Roger, and he was like, Roger, they're gonna play Pulp Fiction at the midnight. Let's go see it. It's gonna be a hell of a
Yeah.
time. And they go there, and everybody's being respectful of the movie, and they're not hooting and hollering,
Yeah.
and they're just watching a movie. And he goes, and Roger's thinking, like, you drag me to this? Like they're not doing anything. And so it's like, oh.
I saw
But-
Pulp Fiction at the Alamo Draft House on it was like the 30th anniversary. The anniversary had just popped up,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
a sing along, yell at the screen, and we were all singing and
Oh,
yelling at the
that's
screen and
cool.
having a
Yeah.
great time.
That's awesome. Oh.
The way Tarantino intended.
yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so much fun. Yeah, we did a Grease sing along once, and it was fun.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that thing. I love the part in Pulp Fiction when she's like, "I gotta pee," like she's so like, oh, so good. But our star rating system here is 1 to 5, 5 being the best. I rate this movie 3.5 out of 5. What do you give it? Did I go?
I
too
think
low?
I had it at a 3.5 from my
Mhm.
original rating, and then I bumped it up to a 4 because I was
I was-
just trying
I
to
was-
imagine a world where other
Yeah.
blaxploitation movies probably wouldn't exist without this one. So I
Yeah.
think it deserves a little extra gravitas. Plus, it looks like it was shot on a budget, and they
Yeah.
sewed it all together in such a way where it's like it doesn't even look bad for a low budget film. It's really great.
Yeah, yeah, it's done. Yeah, where you got those high angle shots of them walking from the pool or walking through the thing. Then it goes down to film, and they're not out of place. They're still in the same,
Yeah.
it's not just filmed on the
Great
cheap.
colors.
Yeah.
And you can tell they did live sound because there's a couple scenes where Jim Brown turns away from the camera a little bit to like put on a jacket or something, and the sound is muffled, like it's
Yeah.
not right in front of the mic anymore. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I respect this. You're very rarely gonna catch me rating a movie less than 2 stars because I
Mhm.
believe every movie's a fucking miracle that they're even made, and I give them a lot of respect. So like, if a movie's a 2 star or 1 star movie for me, it's because it has serious problems.
Yeah, it's very true. Like I'm like, well, that was an okay movie. It was 2.5. It was right in the middle. But yeah, it has to be real bad. But then, like I've said before, my wife's like, you rate these wrong. Like you rated Class of '84 this, and you rate that, and I'm like, because it was cool. Would you buy this
Yeah.
movie, rent it, or find it for free?
All of the above.
All,
I
yeah.
was looking around. I was trying to find it. Usually, I would torrent a movie because I'm in
Yeah.
Alaska, so buying them is rough.
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't really find any good copies of it, which tells me that like DVDs or like there's no real good Blu-rays of this because if there was, it would be out there. So
Yeah, because
Kino, Lorber, whoever you are, get on that shit.
yeah, it said the DVD came out in 2000, and then Olive Films did the Blu-ray, but Olive Films, I think, is like
Mm,
England or for somewhere. So yeah, but I'll have to look it
mm.
up. But yeah, if they had like a two, like where you could get this and the big ripoff, like that'd be cool.
Yeah, they
Um,
used to do those like Soul
that's
Cinema VHS packs.
yeah, I have
You need to do like DVD
I have an
packs.
urban action pack that has it has Three the Hard Way, and it has Black Belt Jones and two other, but four, blaxploitation films all in one. But the something that I wish, like Criterion did the Shaft thing, but it only was the first Shaft. They didn't do all three shafts where you could get
Yeah.
it as a box. It would have been cool. But do you want to
Yeah.
hear Phil's?
Shaft in Africa gets no respect.
Yeah, it's so weird though. Like, but yes. Phil's film favorite of the week is Rancho Notorious, 1952. Have you seen this movie? It's a Fritz Lang movie. I learned that
I
by
don't think
listening
so.
to it. So
Fritz Lang. Nope,
I
I'm
know
still
it's
saying Fritz
long.
Lang.
Okay, just like Twitter.
Oh,
I
it's
get
Fritz
it.
Lang.
So, but he did Rancho Notorious, and it has the German girl that's, fuck. Why can I not think of names today? It drives me nuts. My buddy goes, your show should be called that movie with that person. Marlene Dietrich is the main person. So a man in search of revenge infiltrates a ranch hidden in an inhospitable region where its owner, Alter Keene, that's Marlene Dietrich, gives shelter to outlaws fleeing from the law in exchange for a price. I give this 3.5. I maybe should give it more. But then I'll move everything up. I don't want to move everything. But it's got Arthur Kennedy in it, and these guys go in to rob the store, these cowboys, and the one guy goes in, robs the store, and then rapes the woman and kills her, and then leaves. And Arthur Kennedy shows up and then starts investigating, like, what happened to my wife, who killed her, because he's out of town. And then they tell him, and then he goes on his own to find it. And it's really cool. I don't want to give it away, but maybe he sees a brooch that
Is
was
it a
his
revenge
wife's.
movie?
Yes. And it's very cool.
Oh
Yeah.
shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I
it's
love a
really
revenge
cool.
movie.
And then I watched some other ones. There was The Indian Tomb, some ones that he did where he went back to Germany and he filmed these movies after the war. And it was The Indian Tomb, and I forget the other one. Anyway, they're really good. Have you watched anything recently that you would like to share? It doesn't have to be a lot, or doesn't have to be any. I
Yes.
put Uptight down. I have that written down.
Yeah, I just watched that one not too long ago and was shocked. And then someone was like, Black Girl, 1972, watch that one. So that's on my list next. But speaking of like blaxploitation-y movies, I just watched one that just came out. It's a new movie from Tyler Perry. I know.
No, look, hey,
trust me.
wait, stop right there.
Tyler Perry's
You're-
like a 50-50.
You're one of my favorites is I Can Do Bad All by Myself. That movie,
Okay.
have you seen that one with what's her
Yeah,
name?
yeah.
Um, that was so good. She's gonna throw the fucking toaster in there or the radio in his fucking bathtub, and I'm like, oh shit. And then there was the other one, Four Fathers or something, and it was
Don't know
where
about that one.
the guy's abusive and then he gets like beat up and thrown over the counter. It's the one with
Yeah. Okay.
Kathy Bates and what's her name were in it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. So I like Tyler
I love
Perry.
Kathy
I haven't
Bates.
seen any of his for a
Yeah.
while.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Then you might like this one because
Okay.
this is he produced it. I'm not sure if he directed it, but it was written by him for Taraji P. Henson specifically. He's been writing projects
That's who
off and
was
on
in
for
the
her
other
for
one.
years.
Yeah.
So this one, he was like, I got a script just for you. And it's called Straw. And it just came
Oh,
out
I've heard of
like this
this.
week on Netflix. And
Yeah.
it's basically about Taraji P. Henson is a
Oh, yeah.
black woman down on her luck, single mother, going through some hard times. And then one day she just fucking snaps. She just snaps.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say anything more because it has a really good twist at the end that is definitely worth watching for. Now, this isn't some 5-star fucking movie. This is a
Right.
fun, like back to like exploitation style kind of movie, but set in a 2025 lens.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's got some great emotional points and then also some crazy good acting from actors you haven't seen in a while, like Sherry Shepherd. I forgot she was an
Oh,
actress. I just
wow.
thought she was on The View. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so Straw, Tyler Perry.
Yeah, I just saw that trailer yesterday. He always brings the heart to it. That's why I liked about that one and about the one with what's her name? I remember my buddy when I was doing my old podcast, I was like, I want to talk about Tyler Perry. And he's like, okay. And he sits down and he's ready to bitch. And I'm like, so Tyler Perry does he's really good. And
Yeah.
he's like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, they're fucking great. Even the Medea stuff is good. And that's
Yeah.
where
And this one, like Straw is
Yeah.
like the exact opposite of Slaughter. Like instead
Yeah.
of there being like two black people in the whole movie, it's
Yeah.
the opposite where it's the whole cast is black, the entire production crew is black. It's
Yeah.
taking place in Tyler Perry's production company in Atlanta. It takes
Yeah.
place in Atlanta. There's like a few white people in the story to move it along, but it's actually just the opposite. And it moves in a way where you don't even notice it until you're halfway through and you're like, oh shit, it's like the whole cast is black and everybody's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
So good.
yeah, there was one on that one that I can't think of, the father one, whatever. There was one where a guy is crying and I think he's trying to eat or he's trying to no, that's Mel Gibson, but anyway, he's crying, but he's also trying to talk. And I'm like, that's how when I cry, like I get and I'm like, this is really good
Yeah.
acting. Like, oh my God, like, so that's a thing. I know people make fun of us, but hey, Tyler Perry's good. Came from like, a single mother home and then, made it big. So it's awesome.
He's very good at telling stories about black women, in my opinion.
Yes,
But what do
and
I know?
strong. Yeah, he said like Medea came from like his aunt and his mom, like everybody kind of together. Like that's where he gets a tough woman, and that's why I like that Taraji P. Henson. I Can Do Bad All by Myself, and that was originally a play, and then he
Yeah.
did the movie. But she is like not like she doesn't care about the kids. She's not really doing anything. She's just dating this guy, and the guy treats her like shit. And then finally, she's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna put up with this shit anymore, being beat and all this stuff." So really good. If you're ready, I'll tell people it's coming. Come back on June 20th when I will be joined once again by Eric Clapp from Cinema Force for That's right. From 2009, it's Enter the Void. I don't know if you've seen this movie. I have never seen it. The plot is an
No.
American drug dealer living in Tokyo is betrayed by his best friend and killed in a drug deal. His soul, observing the repercussions of his death, seeks resurrection. So I didn't even know that. I felt bad that I had to look this up to promote it for next week, but I was like, I was trying to stay away and not know anything. But it's from the same guy that did Irreversible and he did Climax. He does like those weird kind of
Oh, Gaspar Noé?
Gaspar
It's a
Noé.
Gaspar
Yeah.
Noé movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, then I would hate it. I would hate this movie. I hate that dude's movies. I don't know why.
I saw Irreversible, but that's the only one I've seen. But I heard Climax. But I hear also like
I'll say
sometimes
Irreversible is probably the best one of them
weird
all,
to
even
be
though it's a
done.
really hard watch because it
Yeah.
has a little substance. A lot of them is just like Gaspar Noé just likes watching people have sex on camera, I think.
Yeah, it's like my friend said about oh shit. Damn it, I almost had his name. Fuck.
So
Um
close.
I know the guy that did he did he did Succubus. It's called what's his name? Anyway, he just does like close-ups of vaginas and stuff and like tells a story and then like zooms in and you're like, okay, we're good. Um damn it, what's it? Anyway, it's gonna drive me crazy. There's two names that I couldn't think of, so how dare I? Well, I thought of Marlene Dietrich, so I'm okay. But anyway, Enter the Void. It's streaming for free on Canopy, Shutter, Mubi, AMC TV, I guess has a thing. Or you can rent or buy it streaming on Fandango at Home, YouTube, or Apple, or you could buy a physical copy. So you might be able to find it on Internet Archives, where we find a lot of stuff. So where can people find you and what's coming up? Here's what I'm wondering, first of all, before I know I asked you a question, but hey, forget that.
Sure.
So you did like the story of him, like not even at Hollywood yet. You kind of touched on that. Then you went to interviewing the author for 2 episodes. So now
It's true.
when you do a movie, is that going to be like not like this, but like you'll have more of, or are you going to have somebody coming on that'll be, that you'll talk about, Point Blank or
Yeah,
Ship of Fools?
yes. Yeah, I'm kind of in this like, yes, oh, I love Ship of Fools. I'm in this
I've
weird
never seen
space
it.
where I'm doing like a history lesson essentially. So I'm kind
Yeah.
of getting people up to speed on his life because I feel like there's a few of his movies where you'll understand his characters better and how what he's bringing to the character if you know his backstory, especially for
Yeah.
the war movies, because you got to know what this man went through to understand how he's playing these characters. So the next episode is going to be all about how he gets into acting at all and how he
Okay.
got
Cool.
into doing plays and then eventually Broadway and how that parlays itself into getting his first movie role. So
That's cool.
we're
And
almost there at
was
the point
that
where
the
we can start
wild
talking about movies and TV.
was that the wild ones or
The
was it
first
something?
the first movie he did was a movie called You're in the Navy Now, and it was a military comedy. And he and Charles Bronson got their first roles. They were uncredited though, so they were just kind of like there on site on screen. Lee has like two scenes on screen, and one of them he's like kind of like dicking around and being like a silly
Yeah.
and kind of questionable. We're like, are these Navy guys gay? I'm not sure. So
Yeah.
it's very fun. And a lot of the first couple Lee Marvin movies were like his first like 3 years. The movie, he's just a bit player. So it's fun to watch it and try to figure out where he is and how he's going to pop up because he'll only have a scene or two and then he'll disappear again. So,
Yeah.
and then after that, I'm going to have a guest on or like a friend on or whatever to talk about some of the stuff. And maybe sometimes it just be me doing more of an in-depth history lesson on the movie. Who knows?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah,
Kind of just
I've
winging
done
it.
that. Sometimes I like the solo episodes because I can just kind of go off on things. Although your show is more like you don't want to be like, that's what's probably difficult for you not to be like when he was in the big red one, you're like, no, we're in 1950. Like I got to keep here,
Yeah.
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 Um,
And then I'm trying to compile things that are audio. Like, I don't want to just read to you through the
yeah.
podcast. So I'm trying to compile like interviews and things that he said over time. So right now I'm reading 3 books all at the same time, trying to smush it all into a thing and then collecting all this other stuff. So it's a lot of research. So I can't
Yeah.
wait till I can get to a thing where it's like, we're just going to watch a movie and talk
Yeah,
about how
yeah.
we feel about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you talked about Shaq on the 101 or on 101. That's on my list.
Yeah.
But you were saying you haven't seen
That's
it, and
Tarantino's
that's going to
favorite,
be
I
your
guess.
last one. Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I can't
Yeah,
wait.
because I have
And
3 left that I haven't seen, and as
Mhm.
I go through, that'll be the last one. So I'm excited to end it because I guess everyone says that's one of their favorites. So
And then when you and I first started talking, you mentioned Violent Saturday, and I was like, yeah, I saw it.
love
I don't think it's on my, maybe it's on my list now, but it is really good. Like I love, who's that guy?
it's
Who's the
great.
main guy in that? I love him.
Vic
He's
Vic
really cool.
Mature,
Victor Mature.
yeah, Victor
Yes.
Mature is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a Richard Fleischer, so I can't imagine it not being on Tarantino's list. He loves
Yeah.
Richard Fleischer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so
And I
cool.
feel like that movie is a great bank robbery movie, and it also kind of similar to Reservoir Dogs. You can see their fuck up in the crime where it gets fucked
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
and how it breaks down, but kind of similar where it's like a heist gone wrong.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Ernest Borgnine is fucking Amish. It's just
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh,
so
so good.
good.
Yeah. Put him in Kingpin. So where can people find you? Even though we kind of talked about, but it's called Big Lee Marvin Fan, and it's in
Yeah.
all podcasts.
Yep, we're out there wherever you get podcasts. I usually just go with like Apple or Spotify. Wherever you go, if you listen to it, just write a review, even if it's just like a Lee Marvin is the best. I love him kind of review. That would be great. It helps
Yeah.
me get a little visibility. And then I'm on all the social medias at Cass Smiley or Big Lee Marvin fan. We have a Facebook group, so if you're on Facebook, come hang out and you can
Or,
catch some
or
weird pictures of Lee Marvin that you've never seen before.
where are you at? Vince Stone's Girl. Where's that one at?
That one is on
Or
Twitter, so it's
oh,
just gonna be
okay.
at
Oh,
Cass
okay.
Smiley, and then my
Oh, okay.
handle's Vince
Oh,
Stone's
okay.
Girl, which is great because
Guess
no one knows who Vince Stone is, but it's his character from Fritz Lang's Big Heat.
guess what I have. So Indicator, although Criterion's putting this out, but Indicator
Oh, cool.
put this out, and it's got this is all like it doesn't even tell what the movie's about. These are all special features,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
like it's
Oh,
really
I love
cool.
that.
Indicators from like England, and it's an A, and it was like $11. And then right
Oh, that's dope.
after I got this about a month later, Criterion was like, "Oh, we're doing the Big Heat," and I was like, "Motherfucker,
What? Criterion's doing it? Oh, that's cool. It
yeah,
deserves it. It's like
yeah."
one of the best noirs ever.
Oh, it's one of my favorite next to Kansas City Confidential, and of course Double
Yeah.
Indemnity and The Killer. The Killing and The Killer is
Oh,
the
yeah.
original, but then yes, I like yours. Yeah,
It's
I
yeah,
need to start getting some old. Oh, and you have
the
that
best.
pure Prime
Yeah,
Cut.
I
Yeah,
got some Death
yeah,
Proof and
that's
then
cool.
Prime Cut, which I love. I just watched that one not too long ago because, Gene Hackman. And
Yeah.
then I've got some other like Attack and then what's this one? Oh, that's the Italian poster for Point Blank. And then
Oh,
this one is like
cool.
a Sir Croatian poster for Cat Ballou.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah, I've
cool.
been on a mission collecting. I wanted to get one for the Klansmen, but that same problem you have, like, I don't want a giant cross burning with not dudes on. I don't know how it looks
Yeah.
cool because it's like Lee Marvin and a bunch of Klansmen, but it's like I don't want that on my wall.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's
weird.
yeah. I need to get I've been my wife goes, I thought you put up your posters and you were good. And I said, no, I need more stuff. Like I got more room. I can put more things up. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
But
I'm collecting, and then maybe one day I'll have like a enough to have like here's my Lee Marvin collection for sale.
yeah.
Someone take it.
Yeah. Well, it's like a friend of mine that I talked to, supervisor at work, because I stepped down. I was like, I'm good 3 days a week. But she like loves old movies, and she bought a bunch of like Robert Mitchum. I know you like Robert Mitchum. She has all
Yeah,
these
he's
cool
great.
oh, and I got to tell you, I don't know what kind of car you have. If you have a newer car with the lights on the bottom of your doors that shine onto the ground, she
Mm.
bought these things on Amazon. So it's Night of the Hunter. It's him with his hand on the banister talking to the
Oh
girl,
yeah.
and it's really good. Like I thought, oh, it's just going to be pixelated and shit. No, it looks really cool, and she's got
Oh
one on
weird.
each door. And but anyway, she has these she's onto this thing now of Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum and Jimmy Stewart. So she's buying these posters and big things, and then she's has in her living room just on one wall. And I'm like, you need to put it
Yeah.
in the guest room. And she's like, but I don't want to have to go into the guest room to be like, and if people come over, you want to go like stay there and don't be freaked out by all the Robert Mitchum. So I'm like, well, that's what I did. I got all my shit up here. So
Oh, I would definitely do like, oh, this is the Christian Slater guest room. And it's just like
yeah,
all Christian Slater
yeah,
shit.
yeah, exactly. He got a start today, by the way.
I saw
Um,
that. That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's very cool. I was like, Tarantino should have went for True Romance or Patricia Arquette.
Yeah.
But
We
all
were talking
right,
about how to get Lee Marvin a star because we were like, how do we get Lee Marvin one? He doesn't have one. But since he's dead and his agent is dead,
yeah,
it's impossible. Can't do
yeah,
it.
yeah. You can't be like, here's $10,000. I want to buy. Yeah,
No, it's
yeah.
80.
It's
It's
like, oh, 80. Holy
$80,000.
shit. Yeah, it's like I remember we were on one side of the street, we saw Dean Martin. Then we went on the other side of the street somewhere else and saw Dean Martin. And I was like, why the fuck does he have 2 stars? And then I'm like, oh, then you
Music
see
and movies.
music
Yeah.
and movies.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. So yeah.
Yeah,
But
when you find out they pay for them, it sullies it a little bit.
yeah,
You
it's a
know.
little like I remember they were like, we're trying to get, Adam West a star, after he died, or Was it right before he died? Anyway, but yeah, same thing with Carrie Fisher. They got her one after she died, and but yeah, it's a whole.
Yeah, they should just
whole
give it to
thing.
him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just throw it up there. Like you don't need whoever. But anyway, thank you for joining us. I hope you had
Yeah, thanks for having me.
fun. And yes, of course.
It's
Always,
great.
it's always great. It's one of those where I go, oh yeah, I should reach out to her again. And where like this other girl who was on, who she's like, you don't have to wait to do horror movies because I love horror movies. You can do anything and I'll be on. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, I need to do that. And I'm getting back this season. I'm doing the randomizer more. And so I'm just like, oh, look, this
Sweet.
came up. And that's why I was like, hey, are you interested? And you're like, yeah, there's a Jim Brown connection to Lee Marvin. I'm like, oh yeah, there is.
Oh yeah, and then I watch it. I'm like, wait, this is like Point Blank type
Yeah,
sequel. This is Point Blank Junior.
and it's like I said before we started recording, I started thinking like, Beverly Hills Cop could be a black exploitation movie. Like he's going to get revenge on his friend. He has to go to another state to go deal with this. Like, oh, so good.
Yeah.
That was where I first found see, here I am running blanks again on the name James from the Hateful or Django. He was in the beginning of Django. Anyway, James, no. Anyway, forget it. But the guy, his buddy that gets killed at the thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, and then I saw him, and then he was in that Farrah Fawcett movie where he raped her, and then she locks him in the fireplace. And
Oh.
it's really cool. Yeah, it's called anyway, I forget. I'll think of it later. But okay, let me end this recording, and then I want to show you my posters.
Okay.
So thank you for joining us. We hope you had fun and maybe learned something about a movie that may have had a part in making Tarantino. Goodbye.
Bye.